There it is.
That's it.
And we are live action. Cut. Go. Live.
Live action.
Don't cut it.
Don't do it. Hey, welcome to Winners Take Y'all 40.
I think 40.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Show number 40 that we've ever done in the history of the world. 40. We've got John Watkins, Fireball Watkins.
Yes.
And,
Numero uno.
of course, you all know Sexy Nick.
Sugar Balls
Ball.
Blackman, son.
And then Kyle Kelly's going to join us, my brother, who is actually alive. We are happy you are here. We're stoked you made it through your awesome health ordeal and get to see on the other side. We're not doing some shitty, sad show.
He's here to prove that had Ken not had an injury,
He'd have been the fastest
he's
man.
the fastest Kelly.
That's right.
Without Ken's injury, there's nothing to talk about.
Now Kevin can't talk about how he was the fastest Kelly.
He
because-
said that a lot until Kyle got here.
Yeah, now Kyle's here.
I
just
mean,
to-
yeah, Kyle's really good, y'all.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I used to give him half a lap before I'd run him down.
on my
Yep.
KD80.
I remember the day I was on a KE 125 at Ball Ground when he beat me on a 60.
Wait a
and that
minute.
was the
Did you say KE?
KE? Yeah.
What is y'all's deal?
We had janky ass bikes for me.
Have you ever seen a KE?
Yeah, the
I mean,
gayest thing.
God.
You transition from the
Can you-
gay to extra gay.
Now that
Yeah.
we're here together and this is all, everybody's
Okay,
nerves
extra
and
gay.
feelings are exposed.
They're pretty raw.
Yeah, can you tell us why your parents hated Kevin so much? Was there something?
I don't know if it's the red hair. I really don't know what's going on because he was really different.
Here's the problem, and I'll tell you why I was really excited about you being here tonight. Was we've had Trey Canardo, right? And
Yep.
there's a motocross thing. Well, then there's a lot of times I have to be here with
Multiple redheads.
multiple gingers.
It ends up being, yeah,
Like
ginger on
three
ginger.
gingers and just me, and that
He's so sexy though; he can fight all three genders.
But that's scary. That's a little bit scary, you know.
But normally,
you don't like to
you'd
be,
get it.
There ain't many
overcome.
people that could do that.
when you're that
His sex
you know,
aura.
when you're 3-1 minority. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think tonight we got a fighting chance.
We got
Yeah.
because
But we'll bring Wardy in, the flying freckle.
I know
Oh,
The original ginger.
he's
Yeah.
going to be the
He's gonna
tiebreaker
trump it.
tonight.
He'll-
Yeah.
Speaking of Wardy, you can go ahead and get some of this out of your system because John had a wild one last show. If you guys go back, and I wish somebody, and I know you
Don't
got-
anybody
no,
go
if you
back
could
and
do this,
listen.
if there is a way to speed it up and put a little counter every time he goes, "Pling," every time he throws that shot glass to his mouth.
I was way too
Well,
excited.
that bottle last week started like that bottle.
It was full.
And that's where it wound
It's a
up
strong
way down
effort.
there. Well, here's the problem. And I thought about this could be an issue with Kyle being here tonight, too. There's probably not 4 more geekier
Jeff
80s
Kawasaki.
Jeff Ward guys in the world. So we're all going to be like, hey, Jeff Ward, what's happening?
Remember the time you jumped that jump, Jeff Ward? Got to say his name, full name.
Jeff Ward. Hey, Jeff Ward.
But when y'all are geeked out, you don't sound like a bunch of stupid idiots. I sound absolutely like the biggest dummy.
Here's the thing: I
on
never go
crack.
back to listen to the show ever. I cringe at myself. Trust me, I don't. want
I
to.
think you got this greatest voice of all time. What do you-
I feel like I say dumb stuff, and then I'm interrupting this guy, and I'm like, "Ooh, I got something stupid to say. Well, you're trying to tell me about when you won the donations. I'm like, "Ooh," I make fart noise with my hand.
Man, I was in the crowd when you did that.
I was cooler than hell. Like, okay, cool, man.
Kevin, I think it's you and then Johnny Carson, and then I don't know after that.
Oh, in terms of
As far
hosting
as
a show,
total greatest of all time.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
It goes,
Well, you guys are a great sidekicks, I guess. Whatever you want to call it.
We're dialing it down. No, don't put any methamphetamine in the Fireball this
Hey,
week.
we got something we can talk about too. Finally, we are all but green lighted to start talking about this race we are going to be doing, dude. I've talked to Alan Utz about the SCDMX, about jumping in on Saturday.
Yeah.
I've gotten the blessing of Vicky Rum
when did you talk to Alan Nutt?
today.
Today?
Vicky says I let you race.
Now,
Yes.
So she's the
speaking of Alan Utz,
godmother of Georgia motocross. So
Yes,
The
not the
I got
her
Godfather.
blessing.
This ADD kicking in, and we talked about having Jeff Ward on later. John and I thought today that, and we were almost going to have a really long running joke because Jeff Ward would not answer Kevin's text.
Okay.
How many months? 2
I mean, it's
months?
been
Dude,
going on.
I'll put them up. Like I was like, and the first one was like, hey, I'd love to have you on the show. BJ Smith from We Went Fast gave me your number. Thought that might, just to get a start. And then I was like, hey, Jeff Ward. But
My name's Kevin Kelly.
But John, he finally answered, and we figured out today why.
Why? What do
I
you
don't
think it
know if it's truly settled, though.
Well,
We gonna-
he probably heard that I won a moto on an 86 KX 125
And he's been
last week.
training ever since.
Yeah.
Bent the pegs off of it, and he's like,
I
Hey,
did bend the pegs, my fast.
Did you really?
Nick
does
bends
that?
the pegs off
Steel
of
ass
it.
pegs.
And then Wardy's like, I still got that 84.
I'll spot you 2 years.
It ain't nothing
I'll
for
whoop
me
your
to
ass.
come back with an SR 125 against that okay.
So Jeff Ward is our guest, and I had
I
been
got a
texting
power
him.
valve. Don't forget.
I had been texting him multiple times
Power valve.
with no response. So
Oh,
I will ask
You've
him.
got 2-3 pages of.
And I was like, hey,
where
man,
you're
you
reaching.
raced my dad's race at Six Flags. We own a Kawasaki dealership. And I was just trying to say I'm not.
I've
I am a
met you at
dork,
Mammoth.
but I'm not at some random dork that, whatever. I just thought we will treat him like gold on this show.
Yeah, you're not
so.
going to ask him to go to the mall.
No. So
Hey, man, when we come out there for Mammoth, you think, oh, maybe we come over here and check out your place? I mean, none of that's happening, right?
no, I hope, but we could ask him.
We
if
could
you
ask
wanted.
him,
That'd
yeah.
be cool as hell. Wouldn't it?
yeah.
So it'll be cool. Jeff
Hey,
Ford
Jeff
is
Ward.
on tonight. Hey, Jeff Ford.
Hey, Jeff Ward, you want to go get some Mexican food, Jeff Ward?
We like, you get out of here, nerd. Beat it. That's what we'll get. So Wardy is on tonight. That's going to be awesome. We've got a race that we are going to be
That's
doing.
Jeff Ward walking around the pits, and we're like,
Following him. He's like Gary Payton the glove. I can't shake this guy.
We've
man.
had people do that before
Right, I've
where it's
heard.
just 2 inches off Nick's heels. It's like it's just one of these things. We've learned from the best. We'll do it to Jeff Ward.
yep.
Stick to him like glue.
Yeah. We
did have
I'm
a-
rubbing you glue.
I
Whatever you
stick
say,
to the track like glue.
Stick to the track like glue. So we're gonna have a race. If I can finally talk about it, if you son of a guns will let me finish.
Yes, sir.
And you're all involved. Like this is a all hands on deck. Kyle's already committed to it.
Thank you, Kyle.
You guys are going to help all my buddies at the fire department. It's going to be at a beautiful piece of property. It's never had a racetrack on it. That's number one.
Kevin's like, what kind of property can I ruin?
No,
I'm kidding. I mean,
it's
it's just hard to believe. He talks about how beautiful this place
It's
is.
a
and he's like,
rolling, pretty
We'll
piece
just go
of-
out there with a dozer.
I'm not doing that though. We're not. No, we're going to lightly
Grass
address.
track.
It's going to be a grass race. The vintage guys will get the benefit of a full blown all grass racetrack.
Ass,
With the
gas, or grass. Nobody rides for free.
There you go. So it's going to be a grass track. It's going to go through the woods like a J-Day because it's got, but it's going to be an open motocross track, but you'll just never see it. The spectators.
That's some community development next door. I mean, we can make this thing a long lap because they are from out of town. You want to have a trespassing race like your dad used
No,
to
this
do?
is on Andy's land, you asshole.
Oh, okay.
He's got the land in the woods. Jesus.
King would throw down a race, man. It don't matter. Who cares? Nobody
We're on
cares.
the Georgia power lines for miles. We're on 200 other acres.
It's cool.
King says it's cool.
Who's going to come out here from Georgia Power, man?
That Kelly King, that's the same. Trespassing on one of y'all's trails where the guy put a shotgun on me and they said, that Kelly King, he don't own all this.
Kelly King thinks he knows everything.
He shot the shotgun up in the air.
That's fucking scary.
That's scary.
Scary.
Yeah.
So this race is going to be October 8th. I'm keep coming back to 18th, 19th, and 20th. So we'll probably move in on Friday. Race. We'll do some music on Saturday night with vintage race, and we'll have modern bikes. You'll get the full tilt. I mean, there'll be some karaoke. There's no way we can't. We may do that Friday, just our own thing.
Camper carry. We'll do it Thursday before everybody gets there.
Well,
You know, here's the problem with what's going to happen. We're doing all
October
that.
18th, 19th.
Yeah, but we have an issue with when we start, like when we break into the music and the karaoke and the party issue.
Here's the cool part. It's our race.
that nothing
We don't have
else-
to ever stop.
Nothing else is going to get done.
No,
Yes.
sir.
Every time we're like, all right, we got to stop.
I got to plow the track,
And then Kevin
man.
will play some freaking
Oh,
classic.
she was hotter than I can't leave on that.
You
one,
can't
boy.
leave on it. It's too good.
That was at Vintage Motorcycle Days. I have like an awesome list of songs, and John's like, man, all right, we got to go to bed.
We got to go to bed.
He stopped loving her today.
And then I
Dang
just
it.
yank that microphone back
Give
and
me
go, start singing again.
Encore after encore.
So it's going to be on October 18th, it looks like, right?
Yeah, that's a Friday, then the 19th and 20th. So modern bikes, I mean, it could change, and whatever you guys, we got to kind of let this thing kind of percolate and see what we want. I don't even know what to call it because it's for a buddy of mine. It's all the profits are going to his family. So we'll get into all the details about that. But man, I've even talked to a world-renowned track builder who tentatively says he's into helping. So we could get that guy, and then Kyle would help him. Dude, it'd be
Kyle's a pretty good track builder himself.
absolutely,
He is.
absolutely. But my concern is like I've never dug into this dirt. Like I've never sunk a plow like how rocky.
What if
is
it just
What if
immediately
it's
just
crap
Civil
soil?
War artifacts?
I know. What if it's beautiful black rich? It's been cow pasture land for as long as I've
For
years.
This is gonna be good.
It's got to be right.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Good
We're not going
topsoil.
to get into it.
What
We're
if
not going
there's-
to cut 8 feet.
What if there's
Oh, we're
cow
dropping the
patties with
hammer.
mushrooms and everybody's getting high off the roost?
Yes.
Even better.
Valid questions, Nick. Man, I never would have thought of that. Thankfully, you're here to. I'd like to get one of those
He's in charge of
tillers that
jug
Matt
testing.
Walker has.
I got roosted in the face.
sideways
and Then I
tillers?
started hallucinating.
Like Monster?
No, Matt's got a little bit. His are a little different. Alan Williams had the blender, but there's another one that Matt Walker. was really hustling. You remember what I'm talking about? They brought it to Loretta's.
The plow.
It's a plow that has these little tines that go in a circle. It's gorgeous when you're done. It looks like.
And then it has the roller with the spikes.
I think
so.
so.
You're
And
like
it looks
walking
gorgeous.
on perforated
yes,
dirt.
Yes, exactly. So, whatever. We'll see how all that shakes down. I may ask on Matt Walker to help us out. I know Vicki Roberts gave us our blessing. I checked with Top Gun, with the Verb. Nick's taking notes. Anything else?
18th, 19th, and 20th, it looks like.
That is a free weekend. So all you doubters, Kevin did his research.
I did. There's nothing in Georgia.
There's no
Doesn't
races.
conflict with GPF's race, the Cash for Class race, the Top Gun Showdown, which is a Verb race. I don't know how this beautiful weekend in October, because you remember when we used to schedule our stuff, it'd be like, oh my God, we're either racing in August or December. Like
That's because y'all had 34 rounds.
Yes. Well, I'm saying other
different
tracks,
tracks,
but
yeah.
now there's just not that many people racing. So Calhoun's not racing. Fannon's not racing because Alan told me that there the weekend before. So we're like,
And the good thing is you got Allen, you got, everybody from Calhoun. You got some good promoters too that we can get to come to this race. I mean, I want all those people to come.
I do.
It's for charity. I want everybody.
I want everybody
because
there.
they're all fun to hang out with.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that's the whole vibe I would like to do and have everybody
That'd
there
be great.
to hang out and talk and bench race and.
yeah, we're going to have to rustle up Keith Turpin and Billy Lyles, get those dudes to come hang out for a weekend or something. That'd be awesome if they just show up. Barry Higgins.
That would be bad to the
Did
bone.
Barry Higgins come out? I mean, you could do a whole Q&A on Saturday
Then
night.
everybody can see me geek out live.
Hey, Barry Higgins. Hey, Billy Lyles, man. I don't know who to talk to first, man. I love you, Keith Turpin, number 32 and number 30. TNT, Tishner and Turpin. Remember that one, too? You won by 2 points beating Tishner that one year, and he's real good. He turned out and had a good career in 2 big
Remember
classes.
we was
Why'd you
at
quit so early? You broke your leg at Pontiac, and that hurt real bad, and then you quit after that. That's weird. How'd your finger feel when it got stuck in that sprocket when you ruptured your spleen? That's weird.
Dang.
All that happened.
Yeah, without a paddle, I didn't register to bid or nothing. I just
Nothing.
said that.
Hey!
Nick's like sold.
It's going to be wide open.
At least it's. I mean, he describes the property. I haven't seen it yet. Beautiful rolling
It is.
pasture.
It's not that far out of Atlanta. I mean, it's probably
No,
45
it's 15 minutes
from
from Bremen, boys.
yeah, 45 minutes from the airport.
Yes.
50 minutes from the airport.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, when you come in, it's going to have, we're going to have 5,000 feet of pennants, and I'm going to buy as many pennants.
Don't you sit here and commit to a footage and then don't deliver.
Somebody be out there.
Somebody out there with managed-
4,275 liars out there.
You lie.
No, that's
Lie
I want
like
it to look.
crazy.
I want it to. Do you remember Loretta's in '87?
Yes.
Oh, they've had so many
That's
pennants,
just
and
miles
it's
of
ridiculous.
it. Hey,
It-
you can go first.
Get in there, buddy. So that's the goal, is to create a super fun once a year fall
See, that's
event,
wrong with you.
all for charity. So, come. You are contributing to the charity just by showing up. You need to do nothing else. Just spread the good word,
And bring some money.
bring some money, and race.
Yeah. I think it'll be awesome, though. I know the SEVMX guys. There's a dude, Randy Studer, up in Tennessee that has a farm that is a big rolling pasture grass race, and it's the most talked about thing.
It's the best.
They're like, when are we going back to Randy's place? Because it's just big hills and stuff.
It's the
and-
running brand. If you ever did running brand practice at 7:30 in the morning is the slickest shit you ever rode. It is the funnest. That's one of the only races I ever did. Is me, Brian Johnson, David Iser, Matt Crutchfield, all our DMXS buddies. And I remember going into turns and seeing Brian just sliding past me like,
So maybe we
couldn't
do
make a turn.
Maybe
like
we
ice,
do a
yeah.
team race like a Day in the Dirt or something.
Should.
Coup de grace. 40-hour moto.
There's after you're saying maybe do a modern, everybody's involved on it after the vintage race is
Yeah.
done.
Maybe yeah.
I'm just concerned about re-prepping. So my mind goes to watering, plowing,
Or
getting
maybe
ready
it's
for
end of
Sunday.
the next day, whatever. It's
It could be the last moto of the whole weekend.
I got a bunch of hair scrunchies that we could use.
He does.
For his hair.
They're
You
totally
and Andy
available.
Turner. Andy Turner's got
Me
a
and
bunch
Andy
of that you
Turner,
bought.
yeah. We
Hi, Bob.
could
Hi, buddy.
That's good hair right
we
there,
could
Bob.
kick our we could
Is
pull
that
up
the
our
Andy
hair
Turner
scrunchies.
invitation? That sounded perfect.
Hey.
Hi, Bob.
Hey, bud.
Sound just like
Dude,
Andy.
we were in there and he goes, what did he say? Hey, Donna. What did he ask Donna for? David Iser's wife. Hey, Donna, you gonna eat that donut or something like that? It's in David's RV or something. Yeah. Hey, bud.
That dead on.
That's
AJ,
all we
I
can
hope
do,
you're
though.
listening to
That's all
this
I
because
got.
son,
That's all I
that
got.
is you know that's dead. That is classic.
His son AJ was there with us
Yep.
last week or
He was
couple
the
weeks
new
ago.
child.
Yep.
AJ Turner's sitting right there, and the boys from Verb label him new child.
New child. Is that what it said underneath his name?
Said
Oh,
Nick, Kevin, John,
new child.
Yes.
Don't even mention it. That's great.
I saw a friend of a guy that went to high school with me and Andy the other day, and he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." He said, "I still see Andy quite a bit," and I said, "Oh, yeah, that's cool." I said, it's funny. I saw his son the other day. I said, and this is one of his buddies, you know, and I said, yeah, AJ's a good kid. I like his kid. He's good shit, you know, and he goes, yeah, he is, man. He got all that from his mom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everybody says that, right?
Now,
If
Casey
they're-
Silas, she's good people too.
Yep. If
That's what I
anything,
mean. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, and
everybody does that. You
After
got
that family and what she had to deal with and get him back to.
They've been
Been
had
through
a
the
few
ringer.
moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
Well,
pops basically, what did they figure? He had a stroke or something on a motorcycle? Was that the best they come up
it
with?
was-
That's the
Between-
closest.
Between
Reason.
that and really bad track design and prep, wherever he was. I don't,
So it's one of the.
I'll
That's
kill you.
what I heard. That's what I heard.
I don't know where he was.
I'll
So it's
kill
one of
you.
the two. I'll kill
Track
you.
issue. That's what I heard.
That's a
But he
track
signed an
issue,
ironclad waiver, so we're pretty sure that's not it.
Yeah. It was at that some guy.
He's doing erosion control now.
Some
so-
guy named.
Yeah.
He's worth thousands.
Hold on, shit. I
Write
Look
that down.
through your
Let's
notes. It's in there.
It's way back
Some
in.
guy
Refer
named
back to April of
Don
20.
Jonkins.
22.
Fireball Watkins track. He got hurt at. Yeah, that's
Hey, speaking of John Watkins, we got to go over to John's lake house. Got to jump on the Aeronautiques, and dude, the boat does a full 180 in the water, which is sick. And John's he's a different guy. He's a fun, loving guy here, but he's a stressed lake guy. He's got a lot, like he's watching a lot of things. He's
lot of
watching
balls in the air with
Like
this.
when,
Well, so
but here's the lake etiquette. We're about to listen to
Oh,
it.
please do.
the lake etiquette.
The
No,
jet ski
I
when
just-
he's trying to ski. Son,
Yes.
was not having it.
If you have a private water ski lake that is built for the sole purpose of water skiing, your dang kid should not be on a jet ski when Nick's gonna break off a slalom run.
This dude ain't
for the-
slalom with one ski in 30 years, and Nick goes.
Nick goes, yeah, I'll ski.
And John's like trying to tell him, look, don't be mad if you don't get up because it's hard. It's a lot of pressure and a lot of blah blah blah.
It's
This-
more than you would ever do to yourself in the gym.
And I'm on the back of this damn boat, and I'm watching Nick. He has the one ski, and you lose Nick's head, and he's under
You
damn.
lose
Well,
the
he's skiing
ski.
underwater.
You lose Nick's head.
Everything.
There wasn't even a disturbance
No.
for a second.
And then out of nowhere, like Larry Rippenkroger coming out of the fucking water on a jet ski,
Just
comes
like a jet ski race.
this dude, and he just instantly. He's doing his turn
Immediately.
We took
But
pictures
he's
of-
having to deal with this clown on a jet ski. It was basically for Nick's run, it was no different than going to any public lake in America. And the whole purpose of this lake is just to
I
not
get
have
it.
to deal with that. Oh, it made me so mad. I'm like, Rhett, you've grown up here. Like,
can
what
tell
is
you
your
this.
problem?
That's the first time I've been on a slalom ski in 30 plus years. If you slalom ski 2 or 3 days a week, arm pump would never be an issue.
There's nothing that compares.
Because like
To the load of that.
my forearms were like that big after 4 passes. I was like, holy shit, my forearms hold on.
And
this
we
thing.
didn't stop. I didn't stop on each end. We didn't let the waves settle. We didn't do anything. We gave you the worst possible run.
Get back into it, man. Just
So I,
Yeah.
I was impressed, man.
I
Nick
wouldn't
went
have it
right
any
into
other
it.
way.
Of course, Nick just does it.
He's the only one that could get up after that many years, though.
And after
Most-
7 seconds underwater,
Well, and the water was all the way through his nose.
yes, he couldn't see for about 3 minutes. He was just going on feel.
It was easily 5 to 6 seconds of underwater. That's a long time when you're lifting. The load on you is over 1,000 pounds at that point.
It was pretty. I was
And the ski was too small.
I even thought about it. I was like, I was trying to pull up. I was trying to sit there, and I was like, all right, as long as you stay straight, eventually,
It's
you're gonna
got to come
up.
to the surface after you rip all these stumps and stuff off the bottom
Yeah.
of the lake.
Yeah, he's
Legs
way
2
low.
foot deeper.
There's
on
no
that end now,
stumps. There's no
Where I
stumps.
just grounded out.
Yeah.
I ground a V in the lake.
Yeah, he dredged all the way. He got
He
it nice
cut
and deep
my-
for you. So you can drive tugboats through
Killed
there.
7 turtles.
That's right.
But I am watching though. Like I want to raise kids who are good with boats.
Yeah.
And Ava was out there pulling all her friends on the tube. And so Kevin, what you're alluding to is, I'm looking through the crowd, zeroed in on Ava docking. She's docking the,
He's coming in a little too quick. Okay, well that's all right. That's pretty.
but she did it perfect.
She did it
And
perfect.
she didn't bang nothing, no hit the dock, none of that. And I'm just like, all right, because eventually, within the next couple of months, I mean, they're going to be like, we're going to the lake with
13
Molly
other people.
Ryan and Mary Margaret and all these other girls. It's like, okay, I just want to feel good about it.
Yeah.
With Meg Ryan,
Yeah.
Jake Ryan, Molly
Yeah.
Ringwald.
My parents didn't check nothing. They didn't ask me if I knew how to do anything. And I asked them, no cell phones, nothing. Yeah, you can take the boat. Go ahead. And I'd be gone from daylight till way past dark. They had no clue.
Dude, when I
could
bought
have
a
sunk
boat-
it the first 5 minutes.
Kyle and I went to look at a boat I bought. I'm like, you know anything about boats? He goes, hell no. I'm like, me either. So he was like,
Does
yeah.
it run? Does it not sink?
We were like,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
so she floats good.
Cuddy, is it a cootie cabin? What are we?
That's
what are
your
we buying?
question. It's a cootie cabin.
We had no idea.
Dude, I'm looking for a
Cootie
cootie
He
cabin.
goes, you know how to
That's
drive one of
perfect.
these? I'm like, yeah, of
If
course.
it's got a cootie cabin,
It's
you
cootie
know
cat-
you can get the
it's
cooties.
cootie cat cub.
And I drove that thing. I'm like, man, I don't know how to stop this thing. This thing ain't got no damn brakes.
See, I don't want to
Everybody
raise
squeeze
kids
through your
like
knees
that.
and put your butt back.
I didn't have it. We just had dirt bikes. So
Yeah.
But I bought the damn boat and we did just fine.
Yeah, you're still here. I mean, you didn't die.
I
When we
almost
were in
did.
high school, a buddy of mine's uncle, like my best friend, his uncle bought he had a boat. And so we're over there when he goes, yeah, y'all, 'cause this is the 80s. How, you know how people it was just different in the 80s.
Like
right?
wicker shoes and white pants and green
Jacket,
sport
yeah,
jackets. Like I pictured Don
Like
Johnson.
Oh,
Miami
okay, I was
Vice.
about to
So
say.
he's
R.
like,
Kelly.
man, y'all can use the boat anytime you want it. And we're like, oh, cool. That's
Dude,
awesome.
that's
You know,
an insane
that's just
offer.
The freaking 80s. You know what I mean? We were 16, 17 years old.
Well,
and
never-
their Mastercraft was
Never
11,000.
let
So-
some. Carson, you want the boat for this weekend? Hell no.
No,
Yes.
he just said anytime you want it, right? So
Just go get it.
Y'all took that very literally.
literally the next week, we're sitting in the homeroom. And the teacher's like, it's going to be a nice day today. Everybody have a good day. And we looked at each other and I was like,
Dude.
fuck this, let's go to the lake. And so we went, checked out. He had his dad had a secretary that was probably 21 or 2, right?
Of course.
So we called her from the school payphone. She called and pretended
But my
to be our
lips hurt
moms
real bad.
and checked us out.
Nice.
And then we got
Hi, I'm calling to check Nick out.
we got these 3 chicks to check out too, and we went
Here
to
it goes.
hey we went to the
Did you play
lake.
with their boobs too? Like,
Of course.
That
And
was
so-
they weren't even watching a film strip that day.
That's right. No, not even a slideshow.
that's
Just-
what
had
Nick
to
says
fill
when he
Kyle
watches
in.
movies at school. He would just find the nearest girl and they just always playing with their boob. And
He said as soon as the lights dimmed and they play the
whoever you're
the
getting, it, no matter who
Holocaust
you
video
are.
or whatever they're learning about.
He said, if
Whoever's
you're
in
behind
arm-
me,
Whoever's in arm's
Yeah.
reach.
He's
is
literally-
getting
He's like
titty- is getting
this
titty
and like
touching.
this.
It's a little titty touching.
I thought that was normal.
no.
No,
Yeah, it is normal.
God, I was such a weirdo.
Hey,
You know, I used to
normal is
rub your
what you
blanket, just-
experience.
so you were a porn star before your time.
Yeah, but so anyway, we go to the lake. Of course, we get the ski rope. We didn't know anything about skiing.
Oh my
whatsoever.
gosh.
So of course he backs over the ski rope, gets it all tied up in the prop. So we stand there.
Inboard or
Inboard, outboard.
Okay, so you could at least maybe trim it up
Yes,
and
we
look for
trimmed
it.
it up. Took us forever to cut that out of there. Well, then it gets dark, right? We're up there all day. It got so dark we didn't know where we were in Altoona. We had no idea. We didn't know anything about the lake. It's the first time we'd ever been there, and that's a pretty big lake for people that don't know. I mean,
Yes.
it's you can get lost there. I mean, it takes an hour and a half.
It's
to
probably
go from
30
one end.
miles long.
Yeah, so-
maybe more. I don't know.
They filmed Ozark, a lot of that there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to take another rope, and we went around the shoreline with a Q beam until we got to where we could get the boat
Jesus,
back
man.
out.
Jesus.
Dang.
It
dude.
turned into we didn't get home till like 11 o'clock.
Hey,
And what if you're a parent? I mean, are they dead? Why aren't they back?
That's
yet?
the parents didn't give a shit in the 80s.
Nick, I
Like,
told you about
I walked
ditching
in and
school
my
and
parents
all
like-
that now.
my parents were like,
What's up?
it's kind of late, isn't it? And I'm like,
Yeah.
sunburn.
School,
How are you sunburned from school?
school's hell today.
Oh, but dodgeball, we were out there 4
And I
hours.
said, we went to the lake after school, which was true. It wasn't a lie.
Yeah,
It was
you went
before
to
as
school
well.
first.
Right. And
I went to
during.
school. I just finished early that day.
Yeah.
And went to the lake.
Like other good students.
Yeah.
Finished
And so-
early.
So I want to shift gears here. We've got about 30 minutes. Jeff Ward just confirmed again. I was kind of sweating. What if he's like,
You want to send him a picture of that XR75?
I will actually.
He'll
It's not a-
appreciate all them
Because
helmets.
it's got that 3 time on it.
Get the helmet. Put the helmets. Make sure all this is in it,
we'll
Kevin. Don't make us look stupid. You make us look stupid. I swear. Swear to God. One picture.
Hey,
Get it
Kyle,
off.
This show goes pretty good, but sometimes John wants to show his shit off to
And now
like
I
Jeff
want Wardy to.
Dude, hey,
Hey, Jeff Ward.
I'm envious. I'm envious. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm sitting here looking at this XR75, and it is just mint beautiful. So I'm sure he'll have.
Kyle's
a great
like, I'm
picture.
about,
So I'm sending that to Wardy right
I'm
now.
about 4 fireball shots from fucking that thing up in the backyard.
So, John,
I saw
before
some jumps out behind your. I saw some jumps behind your.
John's like, those are painted fenders. They'll crack.
Yeah,
Don't do
they'll
anything.
crack,
Kyle's like,
dude.
"Bruh."
I wanted it brighter
So
than.
tell
the-
me about this thing.
All right, so 77 XR75. I have yet to find a 78 model. It's identical, but I had a 78. That was my first motorcycle, and the sticker where it says XR was blue. It's the only difference. They're the
What a
identical
piece
bike.
of shit.
But you
No,
can't
damn.
find a 78. It's like they sold 30 billion of these and they sold 12 78. So it does have a DG pipe. It doesn't have a Jeff Ward pipe. I could never find one of those. Jeff
Oh,
Ward.
wow, Jeff Ward on there. Maybe
Jeff Ward Racing products.
You got one sitting around?
But Wardy did sign the tank, and then he signed every one of those helmets sitting there. But Terry Hunter built it. If you want to restore an old vintage motocross bike of any kind, Terry Hunter, he's like Terry's Speed Shop, Hunter Designs on Facebook. Find him. He builds the coolest mini bikes for the Barber Small Bore Challenge, which is probably coming up here in like a week, right? It's like it's coming soon. So I don't know. Terry built every motorcycle I've got. If any of these are shiny, Terry did it. So this one right here is just stock. Terry made that front number plate out of a bucket, a 5-gallon
No
opaque
way.
bucket. He'll cut the bucket out and heat it up and get it flat, and then he traces that number plate out, dude. I mean, JT made those, I think, in the late 70s, early 80s,
right.
somewhere in there. There was, when JT was brand new, they had a number plate or something like that. And so Terry always made those. Heck, I had a 79 YZ250. Terry made opaque side panels like Hannah had, and they were
Yes.
buckets. They were made out of buckets.
Makes sense.
That's fair.
Hey, so when I
Yeah.
say Jeff Ward, you guys can all go around. Tell me the first thing that pops in your mind about Jeff Ward. Could it be that? I mean, anything that you, whatever.
Well, what I want to say and what popped into my mind first was that wheelie
One
and
thing.
on any Sunday.
Okay.
He's 4 years old or 5 years old.
Yep.
QA50, just
Little booty, little.
burk,
Yep.
We're just wheeling.
Can wheelie better than most any human
Oh,
being now. Kyle, Jeff Ward. When you think of Jeff Ward, lean into your mic.
Oh, it's got to be 90 Atlanta. The
Triple
that
fist
wildest
pump.
triple
race
fist pump.
ever.
Probably the best supercross race of all time.
It
in my
is.
opinion.
It's still
'Cause there's
argued that it is.
9
Absolutely.
different leaders. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
so many different
Cooper,
leaders.
I mean, it was all the guys that were in the mix.
It was
Yes.
bad to
It
the
was
bone.
awesome. Yeah.
Nick.
It's just an 80s Kawasaki. I mean,
Yes.
he was 80s Kawasaki to me. Like when I was a little kid and I pretended to be in a race going around, Jeff Ward was there. You know what I mean? On an 80. Like when
Yeah.
I was riding my 81 KX80.
You were a Jeff Ward wannabe, right?
Yes. I mean, that was just it.
Did he wear Cineselo gear the whole way through? I feel like
He had AXO jerseys and
at the end because
At the end
Axo and
and
Cineselo
boots.
kind of, I think they were one or something.
If
I
you
have to
give
ask
me
him
a
about it.
second to think about it, though, I think about it goes right to, I don't know, obviously the first time I met him, or the only time I've ever met him, and I didn't meet him in a way that he would ever freaking remember anything about me, but, and he was,
It ain't about you, Nick.
he was sitting in a,
Jesus, man.
he was sitting in a, John's got some nice shit. You see all his shit?
stop. Stop. Say it, Nick.
He was sitting in a freaking Indy car. You know what I mean? And so, like the Indy 500 was last weekend, and the whole time I'm watching, I'm thinking, freaking Jeff Ward got second
Almost won
Damn,
it,
he
right?
led it
in
for a
this
minute.
race. You know what I mean? Like,
So a couple of things come to mind though that I wanted to say. He's I believe the winningest Motocross to
He
Nations
is.
rider
He 100%
that
is.
USA has ever had.
Number one, yeah, I sent you guys that article. You obviously didn't read it, did you?
Yeah, I read
I
it.
sent y'all to both up because it says he is the all-time
9
winner.
times. He went 7 times.
And the nations were two separate things. I guess they had
Trophy.
that.
Trophy
trophy.
and motocross, so 250, 500. But also, from Hansen to Emig, he is the only one that won a title that wasn't on a Honda.
He broke that
Emig
whole
was
string.
the end of, or the first non-Honda. But during that run from Hansen, which is 82, to Emig, which is probably 90, what, 3 for
Did Barnett get in?
125?
Oh, yeah,
Barnett got in
93.
there on one, right? On
83, 84. Yeah, but I'm talking 250 Supercross, I think. Just 250 Supercross.
another thing,
Sounds about right.
like I said,
It's something like
ADD,
that.
I'm bouncing all over. But
It
do
don't
y'all
matter.
remember, like, I know now we're all like John was last week. Hey, Jeff Ford. Hey, Jeff Ford. Everybody's sitting here going crazy. Like there was a picture of him going around like a flat corner on a 500. I think he was even standing up.
Okay.
Like and he's just freaking flying that throttle control. Just
Those cut jerseys about right there. Like
How
he
about,
always cut his
and
jerseys.
how about an open face helmet
To the
racing
end.
outdoor 500s? Like,
Super late.
Are you shitting me? Like,
Ask
that is-
him if he has real teeth.
Got to, right? You think?
Kyle don't.
I don't.
Most
That's
dudes
right.
don't.
Hey, you know, a 500 rider can always do that.
Yes.
Like, show you
That's
the
right.
false teeth.
Show you
Like
their
a
false
hockey
teeth.
player,
Right,
same
right.
as hockey players.
The worse the 500, the less teeth he got too.
And he's a smaller dude, so the 500 thing has always been
it
But there was
odd.
just a picture of him somewhere standing up, going around a flat turn. I can't remember. I don't have no idea where it was. I'm sure it was in motocross action or something.
Yeah.
And just
He made those cool ass white Cinesalo chest protectors look badass to go with the Araya open face with the Oakley wicked ass looking
and the face
crazy. Not this one, because that was early 84 or so on that 125. But about 86 he changes that big ass Oakley thing that's the Scott rival.
It's like this
The
right here
Venturi
behind you, the
from Scott
Venturi.
Similar.
It's like that, but it's Oakley's version.
it's
It's got the
Oakley.
weird slots. He looks like a fucking stormtrooper.
That was the fighter pilot
looks
ads
so
or
badass.
whatever.
when I got a Scott Venturi,
Factory
I thought I
pilot.
was the baddest fucker on the block, son.
Isn't that funny?
I mean, I just remember putting that thing on my
Well,
helmet and looking, going,
There ain't nobody. It's over.
So awesome.
3 seconds a lap, dude.
But you whack your face on the crossbar one
that thing
good
ain't
time.
doing
it's
nothing. That little bit of foam on it
anything.
is over.
how that was protecting you from.
There was a couple of years though on the 500, he'd have goggles with just the
A
nose.
little-
guard.
a little
The
nose piece.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
extended nose piece. That's all he would run.
And you know
Take
that's
care of
'cause
the
that
nose.
hurts.
Everything else, yeah, whatever. I've been watching this.
He's a bad dude, man. Wardy is, and, and it's going to be hard not to geek out, but
I don't care. We geeked out on everybody.
I stopped the methamphetamine insertion into the fireball. Took 4 Xanax. I think that'll be ideal.
It's a good battle going on in your
balance it
body.
out.
It's
Yeah,
just a
balance
battle
yourself
of.
out.
He
try to
was
get it
my
in.
favorite rider just because he was a Kawasaki
Yes.
guy.
Well, I lived on a road that was non-stop Hondas. It was Jason Grogan on one end, all the way up to Jason and Brian Lanham, Travis Ragsdale, Matt Ragsdale. They all had Hondas, and I'm the only one with a Kawasaki. So everywhere we went, like for real, it was Jeff Ward won this week, and they're like,
What's
I don't
up?
care,
My Honda's
It is
badass.
so crazy. Like
Stupid
I can
little-
remember like going to the Supercross and probably when I was 14, 15, 16.
I mean, look at that tank, right? That tank is so bitchin' looking, dude.
What are you
I love
interrupt?
that.
He's
Sorry,
going
go
to
ahead.
the damn.
we're,
He's going to the Supercross.
And so, and we would like people like, I just don't feel like people are behind brands like they were. We were like, I just remember
back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they were back then. Like you were a Honda guy or you were a Suzuki guy. Like I had
can
a
see that.
friend.
That's fair.
I knew a guy that was who won. Did somebody win Atlanta one time on a Suzuki, like Barnett or something?
In the mud, probably. Barnett 82, probably. That
and I just
muddy-ass
remember in my
race.
yearbook, he
70s,
just wrote
80s.
Suzuki real big in my yearbook.
But you know why? It's because nowadays, if you just change the plastic on the motorcycle to another color,
Yeah, now it's-
nobody
You can't
knows
tell.
what kind it is.
Right.
But on those old
were
bikes,
green ass Kawasaki's.
Yeah.
yes, and
A
they were
beautiful
shaped
green.
differently. They had different shapes on different size side panels, all the stuff.
Yeah.
That nowadays, man, they're all cookie cutter.
I'm so colorblind, I can't tell now. The only way I know mine's a Honda is it says Honda.
Says
It's
Honda.
got his name on it. That's why he put his name on it.
Sugar Balls Black.
I can find it. I'm walking through the pits going,
Hey, man, what get off my
He
bike?
cussed out some girl today because she had the same number as
she
him.
had 2 zeros on her bike, and I said, listen, you're 1 0 away having a fucking problem with me.
Just coming hard.
It ain't nothing for me. I'm telling you right now, I'll race you for it.
Then I found out she was a soccer coach, and she was relatively buff. So
Relatively ready to fight.
I left her alone. Yeah, she's
Say a fight broke out.
Hey, so this past weekend, I know it's been like discussed to the max, like the penalties for Vial and not Deegan. I'm like, man, I like even
It's a hard look.
Mike
It doesn't look
Burkeen,
good.
Mike Burkeen, there's some post on Motocross Fight Club, and he's the AMA sports manager for the amateur side. He goes, I saw all the data, I saw all the videos, I saw all the data,
Gain time, lost time.
and
That's
it's
exactly it.
and I'm okay with this one, not with that one.
But man, it does
But
not
from
look
the optics
good.
of it, it's like,
it is a horrible optic.
right?
It does not look good.
And we like Mike Burkeen, but that's not a good look. It's
Yeah.
not.
No, he didn't make the call. Pelletier made the
Pelletier,
call,
but still, it doesn't matter. They're both named Mike.
Yeah, that's right.
Anybody named Mike makes a
Son,
call like
dang it,
that right
Mike,
there,
man.
son.
I get so sick and tired of them goddamn mics doing all that.
Not at
crazy
my
shit.
track.
not at my track.
But-
Ain't no big old Mike at
But
our race.
VL did double back onto the track without looking back. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, it was
I
a little
don't
more
care.
egregious. It was a
And
little more
Hayden-
egregious.
Yeah, but Hayden did
For sure.
too.
He
He
hucked
came
Hayden
back on the track and
roosted.
hucked
He
that
made-
big ass jump.
But I guess he accelerated on the track, not off
He
the track.
roosted,
He
he let
lost
off,
time. At the end of the
and
day,
then
he
he
lost
totally lost time.
Yeah,
VL
but
gained time.
They
enough.
did not have that when they made that decision, though. I don't give a shit. They didn't.
Oh, I bet they did.
No, that's in the rule books.
I bet they can watch that video and go,
Yeah, but I bet they didn't. They didn't. I don't know.
I feel like they.
I think they probably did Vial's. I don't think they did Hayden's.
I think they'd already announced Hayden
everybody
won.
started
It was like
bitching
2
about
hours.
4
Yeah.
hours.
4
4
hours
they were
later.
there.
You're a Deegan hater, right?
I'm not a Deegan
He's
hater.
one of
I think
those.
that's where it's coming from. He's a Deegan
I don't think he
hater.
is.
He's
Nick
fine.
actually loves a controversial guy.
Yeah, I like that. I want to like him like real bad. You know what I mean? He just don't make it easy all the time.
That's true. That's very true.
You know what I mean? Like I really like try
He
to.
says
like
a lot
him.
of true things. You're like, oh, he's telling the truth.
And he's good. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, you can't
listen,
hate on him,
no.
dude. I mean,
If I was that fast, then nobody would like me.
he does have
Except the trophy
everything
girl.
needed to win.
But man, when I watch him ride though, of all the riding styles, I'm like, I can pick out why these certain guys are fast and why they look cool on a bike. Not really feeling it with him. Now, his riding style's not like, oh,
It's
man,
kinda
it looks
just
dope.
neutral. It's
It is.
nothing-
There's no.
I look
It's
at
not
that same
flashy.
thing.
It's not conservative. It's just a Deegan.
What I take it like.
It's not cool. It's
What
not
hits
cool,
me in
though.
the face the first time is
Jet's
like,
cool. Chase Sexton is the coolest motherfucker on the racetrack.
Watch it. Yeah, Chase. looks
God,
good.
he looks.
Yeah.
Who's your guy?
Well, I'm just
He's
saying,
four.
him and
He's
Jet
four.
look pretty similar.
And that
They are
same,
very
like
similar.
when
They
I
are.
start thinking about Deegan and I look at that and I'm like, well, he doesn't look as fast.
But he is.
And
Getting
my
it
mind
done.
just goes that he's been riding a freaking supercross track since he was in the womb.
Since he was a
Yeah.
kid.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And so that it doesn't matter what he looks like, he's hauling ass.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
I mean,
ultimately.
obviously.
But we love to love somebody with a sick style. I mean, Chase Sexton, I'll never forget the first time he truly got on a big bike and went fast. I was like, woo.
Yeah,
that
when
looks so good.
When they showed those spy videos of him on the Honda right out of the gate, I was like, oh my goodness.
He looks
They
different.
immediately took him right out. Like I thought it was too early. It's too soon. And
No,
What did I know?
He was ready.
And you know what it was? We
Fortner looks
thinking
awesome
about
too.
this.
I love Austin Fortner on a bike.
And he was because probably in 15, 16, 17, that's the way I felt about Roxon. Like to me,
Sweet.
Roxon looked like a perfect, like if you took an action figure and placed him on a motorcycle in perfect position, that's what he
I
looked
think
like.
Roxon does ride perfectly. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
he
so-
really does. He's
And now
good
Chase
looking.
is just a little bit longer and just a little bit like it just looks
There's no movement. There's no head movement. There's no
yeah.
unnecessary.
He's always charging. He looks
you know
like
what
he's
it's like,
charging.
and if you ever, and I know that y'all watch some other sports, basketball and track.
I
that
don't.
kind of stuff. I know you don't, so I'm not really speaking to you. To you, there's only one sport.
And then there's a secondary, it's water skiing. It's not quite as cool.
Yeah. So, but you know, when you watch like Usain Bolt run or one of those really good sprinters or even a hurdler, their head doesn't move.
correct.
It's
Quiet head.
everything's
Baseball player, quiet head.
Everything's quiet. And I think this is the first time that we've seen guys where their upper body is super quiet. You know,
Yeah. Well, it keeps them neutral over the bike. That's the whole thing. It's all about staying neutral on the motorcycle. You know?
And
Let it
Kyle
work
would
on
know.
you.
Kyle's
Keeping
the
your-
fastest in this room.
No, but I'm just saying, like if you watch Jet ride,
Close. So
yeah, me and Kevin, it's neck and neck. If you, any day, it's
it just depends what track. I'm more of a sand
So
track
you're
guy.
saying
Big
somebody
doubles.
like Jeremy Martin, or where his head's just going like the
Yeah, or
whole
even-
time around the track, his head's jerking around.
absolutely. If you look at Chase, those guys, it's so fluid and effortless. You know what I mean? And it just keeps them
Yeah.
neutral on the motorcycle. It's just predictability and what they can do.
it's like the
with
motorcycle's pushing them along. They're not riding the motorcycle. They're not.
They're
getting
so far
pulled
forward. They're not
anytime.
going like me. I'm like, whoa, I'm so far back on the fender.
Right.
This is hard to hold on
And I
to.
think about the fact that they're doing that while I'm riding.
Trying
And
to
my
emulate
shit's
it.
all twisted and like
Exactly.
And that bump hurt your back.
yes.
Dude, they hit shit that if you were to be teleported onto that motorcycle whenever
Oh, I'd get
he's doing
hurt.
that crazy hop thing over to that one little thing and off and
You're
yeah.
bailing off.
if you would have done that, I'd have been like, oh god,
We're gonna die.
that's what it would feel like. And he's like, nope, I'm
Like
to
that
do
quantum leap deal,
Yes,
where
just-
you just
you are here right
land
now.
on the motorcycle.
Well,
No.
there is a
Hell
There's
no.
a video this week out, like all the viral. I'm sure y'all got on your feet of a guy on a mountain bike that he's jumping a huge like freaking canyon or something.
Rampage or Hardline, Red
And
Bull
he's
Hardline.
it's a wood ramp.
Yeah, the transition is
And
awful.
then it goes to the next one, and it's classic. Like if you're a motocross guy, you've seen it 1,000 times. He's perfect, and then when he's in the air, he gets scared, and he just comes like the bike just drifts away from him. You know what I mean? Like
Well, they
that's
must
what
have
it would be.
adjusted it because even Jared, I saw Jared post on. I messaged him. I was like, dude, he goes, he goes, it's too steep and it's like at the very bottom and it goes right up to a wood lip and it's dumb. But the one guy I saw, he hit that thing and he just went, and he just flew off the bike.
The
He's flying
rebound
over the
center.
canyon doing this shit.
Correct. Yeah,
It's
he
awful.
lands 30 feet from the bike.
Those
Just-
jumps on that hard line, I would think twice on a 450.
Hell
Because,
yeah.
you know what I mean? You'd be coming up to it like, oh my gosh. I don't
I
know.
was watching a guy on I don't know if he's on 250 or 450, but riding a downhill mountain bike course, and the mountain bikes are faster. going down that particular.
I would
course.
have to think, some of those ones where they're steering with the back, like it's frightening to watch those guys do that with the rocks and shit.
Scary. Yeah.
You'd push over the berm on a
Well, that
berm, so
one-
you couldn't
For
do
sure.
that.
Yeah.
You could never do that.
And the Red Bull, though, like when they're forget all the other gaps and shit, but when they're going that one rampage, we're at the top of that peak and there's a 6-inch trail, and they're just riding at the top of that. I mean,
Yeah.
That's scary.
you're 300 feet off either side.
Yeah, you're going to roll. You're not going to stop rolling.
Because I would be like this, like you don't want to
Fixate on that.
The one thing you learn about motocross, mountain bikes,
Love
water skiing,
making.
everything, love making. Of course, it doesn't really happen that much.
PT Solutions, water
Stare at it.
frames.
You're going to hit it
don't-
if you want to
You
stare
don't
at
look
that.
where you don't want to go.
You
right?
look where you wanna
in
go.
life. Same way. If you some bitch you shouldn't be messing with, don't look at it because
You'll end up over there.
You know what I mean? Like so on a bicycle, there's no way I'd be looking straight off that mountain the whole
you'd
time,
go off
and
the
I would go
Jump
off the
Wile E.
mountain.
Coyote off that son of a bitch.
I couldn't. There's no way I could do that at the top of that mountain.
Yeah, I could never do it. And Frank Mann and Cliff Amata, that's their goal
To
in
drag
getting us to
y'all's
go to
ass.
the Colorado 500.
Watch this.
Man, they said they couldn't handle it. And they're going to take us somewhere stupid like that, and we're going to die.
I'm just gonna pick
I
my
don't
shit up
wanna
and
die.
carry it. I'm working out hard. I'm gonna pick.
Well, of course, you're going to have to carry mine, too. I ain't,
I'm not.
even if I was strong, I ain't
So
tall
these guys
enough.
are going to the Colorado 500. You've gotten the official invite from the big dogs, and
Yes.
it's a very exclusive little deal there.
Yeah, it's invite only. You got to have a sponsor to be
Invited.
included.
Right.
Yeah, they'll invite you. So
And this year, John finally found somebody that thought he was worthy of going.
I tricked him. I was like, man, seriously, you ought to consider us. Here's
Y'all
all
got
the
a
reasons.
wild ass schedule. We got VMD, then I've got Loretta's, and then we
No,
got,
you
and
did.
y'all
You
got
skipped the first one. Mammoth.
Mammoth. That's like 3 weeks away.
I
We've
got
already
a qualifier next weekend.
let's go
that
back even
reminds
more.
me.
Yeah, you ain't gonna be around.
I can't do it.
That's all right.
I'm there for you. I'm going.
Okay,
All right,
Kyle,
I'll be-
thank you.
I'm there. I'm going.
You
It's
gotta watch
right back
bikes.
on, son.
I'll wash bikes. We'll get you all dialed in. We'll get you
Massage.
mentally
I
ready.
needed a masseuse.
Get Mitchell. We need Mitchell.
Yeah.
He's going to wash the bikes better than I ever
Are you
did. I
staying
know
in
he
there all
is.
week?
He's going to take over.
I want to
your
go
role.
both days. So yeah. So if you're gonna stay, we're going down there and stay.
Well, we need him for practice day too, Kyle. I mean, god dang.
Friday. I mean, I can take a half a day.
I'm kidding.
I can go Friday.
Parts
I'm-
unlimited.
He
not
can
listed
ride
in
practice.
this.
He's done. How many laps have you done at Chicano?
this year. Quite
He
a few.
rides the entire session. He's the first one out there, last one off every time, no matter what.
I'm hoping they're gonna run 45-minute plus 2 motos.
Not gonna happen. But
If they did, who do you think would win?
he's a guy. He's definitely qualified.
You would,
I'll
you
just
would
say
definitely,
he's
qualify.
definitely qualified.
45 plus 2.
That
you would-
dude just
And I
starts.
don't care who's there.
Yeah.
Don't
I don't
matter.
care who's there.
Whenever he starts suffering, the lap time stays exactly the same.
225 at minute 40, baby. Still
Whatever it
there.
is, he's still just
That
ball.
was the thing. I swear to God, that 90-minute moto at Day in the Dirt.
I watched it. I said, dude, he's coming back. Like, I watched where you were about halfway through. It's like he settled in about 75th place, and he's like 74, 73rd. Like, just kept on clicking and dummies off. Minute 50.
All the dudes are
hour.
falling apart.
Yes.
Because they went too fast at the beginning.
The whole time, 100 bottles of beer on the wall, 100 bottles of beer. That's the way I'm doing my laps.
That probably was. You're probably like he's acting like he's kidding. But he probably did.
7 bottles of beer on the wall, 7 bottles of beer, pass another guy, and then
Dude, I did that for years when I raced. I always sang when I raced. Did you ever do that racing?
Yes, 100%.
I've got "Color Me Bad" songs in my brain still. That I used to sing.
Okay.
I wanna sex you up. I'll be singing that.
Isn't that
up
terrible when
all your
something gets in your head though,
Oh, you
and,
can't
and
get
you
it out.
can't shake it, dude?
Disconnect
So you
the
just
phone
run
so
with that.
nobody
You know what
knows.
sucks about that is too, like when you're like you hit a jump and you do it like jump a double or a tabletop, and you land it and you're like singing and you go, how am I singing a song
And riding a dirt bike and
riding a
staying
dirt
alive.
bike? You're like that doesn't make any sense.
No, you're like, well, you know how you drive down the road and you're like, how did I don't remember the last mile.
Yeah.
It's almost like that. You just get into such a
Hey
thing.
man, let me tell you, when you get something dramatic going on in your life and you get stressed out,
That's the
you'll
spot.
get in your car all stressed out and worried about something.
And you'll be at home.
You turn the key, and next thing you know, you're in freaking out Huntsville.
You don't
You're like,
remember any of it.
how the fuck did I get here?
That's
You know what
sort
I
of
mean?
scary, right?
It is scary. Yeah,
That's
you're just
Kyle
like,
singing "Color Me Bad" or whatever you said
Yeah.
it was.
wanna sex you up. Let me take off all your clothes.
I'm trying to think of songs that I've
Disconnect
got in
the
my
phone
head
so
before.
nobody
What's the song you've got in your head
knows?
before while you're riding and you can't shake?
One time I had the dang "Now the World Don't Move." I had
To
to,
the beat, just one drum.
What might be
it
right
would
for
not
you
go away. I'm
may
like,
not be right for some.
The man is born
he's a man of means, and along come two.
They got nothing but the jeans,
Now
but
that
they
you
got.
said that, I have had the Fall Guys.
The Fall
I'm
Guys.
sitting there thinking of show terms here. I didn't
Well,
have.
I'm not the kind. That's a
Kiss
great
and
song
tell.
too.
And
And Blake Shelton just redid it
Yeah.
for the new movie, so it's
I might fall
It's altered
from a tall
slightly.
building.
I have done it. I don't think I've ever did, and I listen to a lot of rap music. I don't think I've ever had really rap in my.
I don't know that I have. I have on that adventure ride stuff where you're 10 hours on the motorcycle. You'll go through every genre of music. I'll be singing at the top of my lungs, riding through the valley or a mountain or whatever, and I'm just screaming. Or if I see cows or something, I'll be like, "Hey,
What are you doing?
hey!"
you
I'm
dumbass
screaming
cow?
at them cows because like you have nothing
Breaks
else to
over,
do.
Cal.
Get up,
Screaming at them, calling them stupid
stupid
idiots.
cow,
You
dummy
stupid
cow.
idiots.
You dumb as hell.
It's great, man.
You go by sheep, and you're like, hey,
What's
how
going
you
on later
doing?
on tonight? How you doing?
Looking pretty furry up in this mug.
Clean too. So y'all ready? So they're getting their bikes from Kurt and Nicole. So here's the deal. Like we should express this. Like for those of you on the East Coast that want to go to Mammoth,
GP rider.
And you're
Finished
not
second
looking
in the
for a
world.
45-hour
$1,000
drive.
and $1 million. You fly in, you bring your gear.
This couldn't get any better. Really.
Kurt Nicole has 24 KTMs for you, and he takes care of them, brings them in, so you don't have to wait in that line. He brings the bike, it's prepped, it's got your number on it for $750 for the vet weekend. It's not crazy.
and he sets the
At
sag.
Mammoth. At Mammoth.
Sets the
Sets
sag.
He's a world. He's a
Well, I know
vice
who Kurt
champion.
Nicole is. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he'll race
Really?
it too.
Yeah, like we've talked to him, and like John's been. In
Yeah, I stayed on the phone with him. I felt like the biggest dork because
Hey,
I
Kurt
was
Nicole.
a fan.
Hey, Kurt Nicole.
Hey, Kurt Nicole. Hey, man.
Nicole, what is it?
When you's over in that British speaking countries.
They speak weird over there, different language.
Yeah.
How's that work over
Do you
there?
eat Vegemite over there?
Yes.
It ain't damn
That's a wrong country.
It's not
continent.
Australian.
idiot.
But no, and he's like, you break parts, I got parts, we'll fix it. And I don't.
$750.
Yeah, and he handles the gas. You just
Your
go to
number.
the
He goes,
tent.
what number? I'll have your numbers for you. You just pay your Mammoth fee. You fly and
Yeah, I told him the
Decal
numbers.
up, numbers and everything. That's how cool is that? Like, didn't even have to change our numbers.
you had the best way because Kyle got a free bike that was already there. But other than that, like that ain't gonna happen very often.
Right.
No.
$750 is for a brand new motorcycle to ride the whole.
That's
vet
pretty
weekend.
nice. I'll take it. It's way better than $8,000 in diesel fuel like I
Right.
spent in
What's the
19.
date on this?
June 20th.
3 weeks.
21st is practice. Come on.
I don't get released till July.
Dang it.
Still
Yeah,
got
but you can just
pesky
go.
heart condition.
The guy that I talked to today at the track, John and I went ride today, and I was talking to a couple of dudes at the track, and and he went to Mammoth last year. And he was like, "Dude, it's the most awesome thing." You're not.
Oh,
gonna
he
believe-"
went there?
He just went and spectated. He's like,
Oh,
"I
wow.
just went out there to spectate." He said it was the best vacation I've ever had. He
That's
was like,
awesome.
There's so
absolutely-
much more. The motorcycle is literally 40% of the awesomeness. Like it's so beautiful. They get done about 4 every day. They do the old school awards where they give the awards out, everybody claps, and they wait for everybody like they did back in the 80s. And then the whole town supports it. All the different restaurants support it, and there's evening activities to do.
Do they
It's-
give awards back to like 45th place?
no
10th, right?
10th.
10th. Yes.
10th. So the big deal is get you a bear.
God, you got to get a bear, man. I want to go talk
Amanda bought me a bear at the gift shop about this tall, and she put 24 on one of them and 27 on the other.
Where's it at?
It's up there in my bathroom.
I had a bear.
Were those your
so
moto
much-
finishes?
Yeah, that was my overalls.
Oh, okay.
Dude,
I
I
got
can't.
you.
There's no air.
Oh, trust me. I
I'd
know.
be running about 11th to 12th, 15th.
The funny part is like Kyle is there, and I'm announcing. I got it on video. It's on my Instagram.
I remember that.
And-
I've seen the start.
And Christina and Amelia are pulling in. She goes, did Kyle race? I'm like, you just missed it. She goes, oh, did he do okay? I'm like, he got the freaking whole shot, and let a lap. Like what? Like
Yeah,
with
that's pretty sweet.
Ty Davis and Jeff Matasevich and like freaking legit
In another
dudes.
country, that would make you a hero.
You would
like you'd be famous.
You never
now.
buy a beer again.
Yeah.
Hey.
You'd never buy another beer or hooker again.
Yeah, Don Collins.
100%.
He's like, Kyle Kelly with the whole shot. He goes, launches down the hill right by
Yeah.
us. It was cool.
And that
Whose
hill's
bike were you
steep
on?
when you come down it.
Bar X Suzuki.
Bar X Suzuki.
Yeah,
It was,
Myron Short, the promoter, his team.
And I've never rode a Suzuki before, like in years, and it was a sweet bike.
You hadn't
Man. Pulled
raced
a whole
in-
shot and almost went over. So the first turn, you go up to the top and you can see the mountains in the background. It's beautiful. So I'm getting to the first turn. I'm like,
Whoa.
shit,
You
this
can't
is
help
pretty,
but
right? You know what I
glance.
mean? Yeah, you got to look, right? So
Yeah.
I know. I'm going to be like,
Hey, there's snow on that one.
Well, I told Kevin this, and I told Nick this today. Remember the +8, and it's only the third lap Kawasaki ads. Do you remember that? They're holding the pit board, and it says +8, and you just see a front fender. It's shot from the rider's perspective, and the dude's holding the pit board on the side, and it says +8. and it says, and it's only the third lap. It's a Kawasaki ad.
Okay.
So
Talking about Jeff Ward, probably.
halfway through,
Better
yeah,
be.
that was probably Jeff Ward's front fender, man.
Jeff Ward, remember that?
But I'm coming down this one straightaway back there in the back section, and I'm like, this
Because
feels
John raced
just
it.
like
What year did you race? it?
2019.
Okay.
I'm like, this feels just like that Kawasaki ad. And then the next lap, I'm like, I think it is. You know, that's
He's having this conversation.
So I come off the track and I'm like, hey, Kevin, man, I think they took that Kawasaki picture right here. And he's just looking at me like,
All right, wait, let me get this
"Whatever,
interview
dude."
in here, dude.
I'm supposed to talk to this guy. He won your class.
What'd you?
I'm like, dude, I got 24th. You should be talking to me.
I didn't get to see y'all much either, man. Y'all had a lot going on.
We
with
stayed
mountain
gone.
bikes so much.
I rode, we were nonstop. We biked everywhere, man. We went to Lake Tahoe.
On a bicycle?
We didn't pedal to Lake Tahoe. We went to Lake Tahoe, but I rode anywhere. The only thing I didn't go to was St. George, Utah. I went to everything on a bicycle while we were there. And we went to San Francisco, and then we came down the coast, PCH.
But you look good on a bike in San Francisco.
Sexy.
Blend right in.
They love them little
They love
gingers.
gingers out
do.
there.
Those short shorts.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're like
Chubbies. You wearing your chubbies out
like
there?
Terry on Reno 911.
That,
New boot
With your
goofing.
roller skates, your free
that's what I
fruiters?
look like, dude.
New boot goofing.
But no, I didn't stay around. In the afternoons, I was nonstop around Silver Lake. We were staying at
Where's
June Lake.
Dad? I don't. He said he's going to get a massage.
He comes whizzing by his kids like he rented mountain bikes for himself.
No, we had our own.
Yeah, you had all
Dude,
your
I had
stuff.
so much stuff in that camper. We were gone for 5 weeks. You ever strapped your motorcycle down for 5 weeks? I mean, that's how long it was strapped down.
Because he went from here up to his adventure ride and where
That was Nevada, North Nevada.
so
we
starts
rode
there,
that.
does 10 days of that
Oh, so
crap.
you do all that before you go out
And
to
then
Mammoth?
keeps
I
on
didn't
going.
realize-
Yeah, on the
Oh
way
my
to
gosh.
Mammoth. And then
Okay.
when we finished
Those
that,
guys peel off. He keeps on trucking. The wife and kids fly in, and there we go.
and then we do Mammoth. It was
Man.
the
Epic,
baddest
dude.
Awesome.
vacation
That
of
is
all
amazing.
time.
Yeah,
Epic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was 5 weeks. I couldn't believe it. And I remember calling Kevin because, I don't, same as this year, I don't have anything that says I'm in. I don't have anything.
You do.
I know, but I was calling him in 19 and I'm like, look, man, I mean, I got this whole ride planned. I got plane tickets. He goes, you're in. Quit asking, man. Just you're racing.
What did
And
you got out there?
I know you think I'm just some flaky, like, oh man, my bad.
You're
bro.
just like, no,
I would
that's
say
cool.
my bad, bro. Like 4 weeks of his life
We're-
is dedicated.
the whole
to
family's standing there.
Yes.
Watkins.
No, he's still looking.
Second page.
She did that. She flipped a page or something. It took her a minute.
I'm not seeing
Yeah,
it.
because you have to qualify. There's a qualifying process for
There
Mammoth,
is.
right? If you're out in
There's the road to Mammoth.
Watkins.
Still WXYZ.
Still- how do you spell that?
Zotkins? Z8? Is it would be a Zotkins? Maybe we're in the Z, sir.
I don't have it. Next.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
They're just
get outta
looking
here.
around you, right? Like, sir, scoot to the side.
Please. Next.
Damn it.
That's how it felt.
Otkins, Botkins,
But this
Kotkins,
time I believe you.
Dotkins.
And he's like,
Because you proved yourself on that license.
where's Kevin Kelly?
I'm announcing, please take care of this guy.
Yeah, get the guy. I'm trying to work here.
I don't know what John. I don't know. John Watkins is looking for me. No, I don't know that.
I don't know that dude.
Yeah. John Watkins is escorted out of Mammoth Mountain.
Oh my god.
And then I got all the way to the bottom, and I'm like, why do I have this transponder in my hand on the last day when we're leaving?
Oh, you got to.
And I look at that bus driver, and I'm like, hey, man, can you take this back up there? He goes, throw it in the bucket. There's like everybody brought him down and forgot.
Really?
So he had this huge bucket. In the
Those are like
floorboard full
$200
of-
a piece.
I know. I was
Well,
scared
they only
to death.
send you 47 texts to tell
They
you.
do.
Oh, they did
Turn
it
in
over.
your
and-
transponder.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
And
they don't play around with
They
the
text me like, "Hey, please announce for transponders, please, please, please," because they need them for the next group of riders that
Yeah,
come
they
in.
gotta have
them.
them.
Yeah.
Mini bikes start.
funny.
When we went on a vacation earlier this year, where you have when you get there, they give you a cell phone.
He needs more Fireball.
Fireball. They got this. They give you a cell phone where you can call like the front office and yada yada all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so
Go. You good, man? Just see you, Kyle.
I get to the airport and start to empty my pockets for the thing. Guess what I've got? I've got the resort cell phone in my pocket.
Ooh.
And I'm
no.
like,
How do we do this?
Son of a bitch. I'm thinking, I just call the guy because it goes to like a concierge. So I just call him and I'm like, hey, guess what? I'm at the airport on this phone. And, I was like, I'll just send it to you. We'll like FedEx it when I get back, I guess. I don't know, whatever I do. Oh, yeah, hold on 1 minute. And he calls me. He's like, okay, walk back outside. There's going to be a woman in black and white shorts with a green top. You give
No
her the phone.
way.
Swear to God. And I just go there and some random woman just walks up. And I hand
Okay,
her the
you're
phone.
good. Deposit collected.
Yeah.
That is hilarious, man. What are the chances?
I know. It was so
Hold on, I
cool.
know someone is there.
west.
Yeah. The woman. black and white shorts, green top. She's
Okay.
good. I was like, sweet.
You
So
felt kind of weird.
We're just a few minutes away from Jeff Wardy. You guys ready? You got
Jeff
5
Wardy, Jeff
I'm
minutes.
just getting so
Jeff Wardy,
nervous
Jeff
right
Wardy.
now. You ever been this nervous in your whole life, Nick?
That was the coolest thing, like that vacation, though. You had that phone. You could call that dude at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I want milk and cookies.
I pooped
Oh,
my
it was
pants.
awesome,
I need
dude.
I need
And he'll
underwear.
bring the
Yeah.
best ever. He's like,
That was amazing.
yes.
That was my 20th anniversary trip or whatever, and those dudes. I had dumb redneck friends who's like,
It was weird that me and John went on that trip together, but
it was my 20th though, so I felt like I needed to go somewhere. And
Yeah.
Nick's like, I can go, and I'm
shit,
like,
I got time.
I'm going too, man.
and then they put all them bubbles in that bubble bath and put them flower petals on top
And
of
we
them.
sitting scissoring right there talking
Yeah.
and drinking wine. It's weird.
scissors. Yes, but no,
Stainless steel,
I
of
had
course.
dumb redneck friends who
I
were
had
like,
to call the guy, and I'm like, hey, I'm in the bubble bath, and I can't find my friend John. Will you come help me?
And he comes up with
all I
bubbles
see
on
is the
his,
back of his head for about the last 20 minutes.
from behind.
Yeah.
We got too many bubbles in this tub. I can't see.
Can you take some of these bubbles out? Okay, man, it's weird, but I'll be there in a minute. It's so weird. So this race, man, like, so you are you good with like vintage on Saturday, and then
That's the only way we can do it. You got to give them the grass track. They'll love it.
Well,
I think, and I feel like they would appreciate it more. The modern guys be like, whatever. Like the vintage guys, that is what you remember.
You
as.
can still carve up a little takeoff on a rise or something. Give them something. It doesn't have to just be a grass track with no obstacles.
No, it's going to be. We're gonna push some stuff up.
Yeah, they're jumping 80-foot doubles.
Andy's okay with there's a tabletop section that will rival the Hillbilly Hill table. There's a big ass
Okay.
area. We got some big, and it'd be big fun.
Well,
area.
now I'm nervous.
Well, you
I was trying to quit
be a
jumping
damn
all in
pussy
big
and don't
jumps.
jump
I
it.
just pissed my pants again because you made me
Oh,
nervous.
there's a story.
So this guy over here, he's getting on the
I
boat.
didn't mean to tell the story.
Yeah, you tell. You
We're
wanna tell?
telling
I'm
it.
not telling it.
I'll tell it.
Kevin, you tell it because me and you are both
fake
coming
news.
to the
No, it's not.
realization.
It took me a minute, and I'm like, Nick goes, man, I'm so nervous. He's standing on the end of the boat, and John goes, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah, we're like, why? What are you nervous
But he
about?
goes, but I'm really nervous, we look down, and he's peeing like orange dehydrated water out of his leg. I'm like, is he pissing on your boat?
out of his third
He's
leg.
pissing out of, and it's not hitting his shorts. It's this perfect stream. from
It's
his-
running parallel with his kneecap.
and it's not touching anything but John's boat. He goes, oh, you're just pissing on my boat. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm like, dude's so nervous. He's just peeing on my
He goes,
boat.
"Man, I'm
Like
just so nervous. He's making eye contact with you. Like, it's so weird.
he didn't smile or nothing, dude. He just
No.
stood there and just stared us
Then he
down.
just jumps in the boat, and then
So nervous.
John's daughter and all her friends are trying to get on the boat. He goes, yeah, you're stepping in my urine.
You might want to wash this.
It
Maybe
got washed off of the
can
lake.
you back
obviously.
up wide open a couple of times and
So good.
stupid idiot.
It was so funny though.
Well, you gotta have
I
it.
do what I do. Huh?
Yeah, you got to
what
pee
it
in your
is.
pants right before you ski. I mean,
man,
that's what you
just
do.
Normal stuff. Man.
Yeah, that's tradition.
It's turdition.
It's tradition. At least I didn't poop.
I want to ask Jeff Ward if he ever I would love to know the dialogue when they're selecting teams for the donations, because I was looking back at that article. It's like, Jeff Warden, his first attempt, he rode a 125, then he rode a 250, then he rode a 125, then he rode a 500, then he rode a 125, then a 250, 500, 500, 125. Like his last year was like a 125.
It's insane.
Like how you're that?
But America used to do that.
we just said whatever it takes.
He's the best
Because
rider
Lachey's
available.
too big on the 250 or the
Yes,
125.
whatever it was, it's like he's the best. He's put him back
he'll
on.
do-
it.
and-
Nowadays, nobody's dropping down to the 250.
They'll barely go. Much
know.
less.
Yeah.
Much less. We need you to go. And like Bob Hanover, I ain't
Speaking
rode a
of,
125
all
in
right.
10 years.
Let's go ahead and start some controversy. Who's going this year? Is Deegan going to go?
Tomac has said he'll go. Tomac
Okay.
is already on record. He'll go.
We
if you
talked
could get
about
Tomac, Chase, and Deegan,
how bad
That's a
I
solid-
want to
that's
like.
solid.
How bad I want to like Deegan.
Yeah,
Him going to the donations would go a long way.
that would
Is
help.
it- I
That
think
would
it's a-
help.
Is it a star issue though with their team?
I think so.
I
I'd
think
heard
it's an
this year
issue
it
with
was.
Star.
But,
That was
Star.
an issue.
but they've been the
Why-
ones that have been
why-
behind it the whole for
Listen,
years
well,
before,
Cooper-
though.
Cooper
Why wouldn't
went-
Yamaha
Cooper
let
went
him
heard
go?
that before.
Kevin,
Yeah.
why wouldn't Yamaha let him go?
I don't know, man.
Is there too much money and we know to make money in the Yamaha?
Well, these guys are covering it.
We
on
added
their
a gong,
dime.
by the way,
You know what I
'cause-
mean?
Because of all the angry Japanese.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So what's that?
No, I'm just saying these guys are like they're going on their own dime.
They
a lot of
spend
these guys,
money,
They
yeah.
spend a lot of money. I think Craig said he spent about 10 grand.
Yeah,
Like,
Tomac
it's-
said
Well,
the
I mean,
same
they
thing.
I think they
That's
they
cheap.
take care of you.
We're
but I think he
spending
was
that.
talking
We're not even getting to ride.
We are spending that.
You got a meet and
He's
greet
not
to go
lying.
to.
We're spending that. And
No purse for the riders. I mean,
Right.
it's really kind
I
of.
think they take care of your flight and stuff, but I think he was talking about his
Anything
kids and his
above and
family.
beyond.
Is there
Right,
not a way to just have the contracts written to go, hey, man, if you make it,
here's 10 grand.
yeah, we'll give you 10,000 and just knock 10,000 off their salary and throw it on a line item over here, or take 500 off each win bonus.
It should be a damn bonus. It's a bonus. If you
It
go, hell
should
yeah,
be a
you're
bonus.
awesome. That's like an all-star.
If you get selected to an all-star team,
Here's
you
I
20
know, but I'm
grand.
saying
I
you
know.
could play with the budget like
if you get
corporations.
selected, you get a bonus because it's going to.
You're a
help.
badass.
Yeah, they'll make 10 grand up on freaking social media.
I would think it's the
think. I mean,
baddest
Really.
race of
You know what
all
I mean?
time.
Like they're going to make that up on views on social media.
You would
just
think.
go it.
You would freaking think.
You've never heard anything until you're in that crowd. That's
and I've
the-
only heard the American version.
Well, they were a little insane when France won in France last year. I'm just going to say.
believe it.
I mean, Redbud was loud and it was amazing.
Bud's Creek was the
But
greatest sporting
these
event I've ever
dudes,
been to in my
hands
life.
down.
Yeah, Bud's Creek was rowdy too. Yeah,
It's
they-
better than any football,
Listen,
baseball.
Europeans party though, bro.
they do.
They were all there partying
did.
here, though.
I mean, when you were there
They
last year,
kept
and you
us
sent
up
us
all
that
damn
stuff.
night.
It looked like a damn.
Yeah, I was sending you
one of those
videos check this out.
A big one of their soccer games. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was freaking. The whole crowd's jumping and
They do it. They do it right.
jump around.
Get up
See you,
out
Nick.
your seat and jump around.
Nick's out.
Are you tired of us?
Okay.
Don't be tired of us. We got Jeff Ward coming on, man. Jeff
That's the way-
Ward.
It's time to call Jeff Ward.
You're all stoved up. We are as soon as you come back. It's time right now. Jeff Ward is not late.
March 1st. I'm about to play. I was going to play you some crowd.
7:01.
All right. So if you don't nut up with Jeff Ward,
Oh, we're not
What do you want to know? Like, what is your?
Well, okay, I agree. Let's talk. Why in the world did you ride every size bike?
Were you that
For the
cool that you're
motocross
like for
division.
it was for the country. Like he had, I mean, the
I wanna
streak-
hear about that.
The streak was still important. Remember that it started, 81? The streak?
This is going to be one of those things. Yes, 81, full team Honda. The problem with Jeff Ward is we're going to get off the phone and go, we forgot to talk about this. We could spend the whole time asking him dogger and chicken stories.
Oh,
Oh, he was a baby.
Because he was the guy that had to like watch after him because they're
Yeah.
like, hey, Wardy, keep your eye on this dude.
right.
or on any Sunday. Like, do you remember much of that? And everybody's seen all the interviews and the stories of him getting left with his dad by whoever at the racetrack. He would come in and just ride and work and stay at a racetrack all day, and they'd come pick him up at the end of the day, like just shit like
That's
that.
what Nick's referring to when he says parents in the 80s didn't care.
Parents
They
in the
didn't care in the
70s.
60s or 70s
Right,
either.
right,
It's just recently that they care.
He's by way of Scotland, right?
Yeah, supposedly.
Well, you don't believe
I
it?
mean, I don't know. Man, come in here talking
yeah.
about Scotland. I don't hear no accent. I ain't never seen a kilt.
I think something I'd like to know is that guy.
So much.
If you
more
look at
relaxed.
tracks and the way Supercross tracks kind of transcended, like he adapted super well. Like if you looked at guys go from the mid to late '80s into the '90s when shit started to get really peaky. Like his style and stuff still.
Nope, sorry, I just want to make sure this thing was going. I was calling you.
He's
John.
calling me.
Okay, but his style kind of still transcended. Guys like Stanton and those guys, to me, like Stanton's awesome, right? But the riding style was just
But you're picturing Wardy with nose down,
Yeah.
landing that double,
Looking
foot
right.
out.
Yes.
Like
Looking right.
he
Yeah.
was cutting edge.
he was awesome.
Here we go.
You know what I mean?
I'm kind of nervous.
I'm scared to death. I ain't never been so nervous
Don't
in
act
my
nervous.
life.
Hello.
Jeff Ward, did you just hear that? We were just saying John saying I'm so nervous. Like, why? Jeff Ward's not going to
What's
hurt
that?
you. My buddy. I'm Kevin Kelly. This is John Watkins.
Hello.
And we've got
Kevin.
Nick Blackman
How you
here.
doing?
Yeah, man, we're good. We've been talking about it for the last few weeks, and it's literally we've kind of chronicled this journey to get you on because I sent you text. I'm like, man, I sent him a text, and I feel like I'm kind of laying it out there.
I think
and
Jeff hates
I
me.
think Jeff hates me, man. So we've been talking about it on the show. We got to get him on. Like I know you had like a medical issue there a few weeks back, so I said, all right, we'll sit back and wait on that for a minute.
Yeah, just been having it like the last year and a half. I've had like 4 surgeries, 2 heart surgeries,
Jeez.
brain surgery, and then a stomach surgery. I had to have my pancreas needle put in it to check for a biopsy of a tumor that was on that. So, yeah, it's been a last couple, and then plus the skin cancer shit. I've been getting cut off and stitched up, and
Hey, you speak our language.
yeah,
You're talking
getting old
to,
sucks.
you're talking to some redheads right here, brother. I'm Irish.
Yeah,
John Watkins.
I
we
got
both,
fresh scars too, man.
Yeah,
We can relate.
Feel you on that.
Yeah, last year, not even like I guess probably when was it? Probably October or last. I had like 3 or 4 taken off my face that I had to have plastic surgery on because
Oh
they're
wow.
over my nose and above my lip, like across the front of my lip, below my eye, because you can't pull the skin because it will pull your eyelid. So
Right.
the dermatologist I go to, her husband is a plastic surgeon. So they go in there and they cut it, and then they put it under a microscope to see if they get it all, because they do minimal, if it's on your arm or your back or your leg, they just take a variance around it. Like, okay, if you take a 1/4 inch, you pretty much got it all. You don't care if you have a 2 or 3 inch scar. But on your face, you just can't do that. You just can't go, we'll just take a big old giant chunk, especially when it's on the side of your nose. So it's amazing what they can do, because I have pictures of the hole they put, on the side, and then how they stitch it up without screwing it up is amazing.
Yes. I had a place taken out of my face.
I had it.
Yeah, it looks that good. I had a place taken out as big as a nickel under my left eye. They graft a piece of skin from my behind my ear, put it up there, and then they don't. They don't even sew it. Like, they just push it on there.
Yeah, patch it on there.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude,
taped on almost.
Is this gonna stay?
Like a tube, like you patched a tube with your face.
Exactly.
Well, I had that done under my right eye, and the dermatologist I went to cut it out and kept cutting it out, and then it was so big that she couldn't sew it up. So I had to put a gauze on it and go home and go to a plastic surgeon the next day, an eye doctor, to do it. And he did the skin graft behind the ear, and then the skin graft didn't take. So it pulled my eyelid down like a hound dog. It wouldn't stay up, right? Because it got so tight. So then they had to go in and do this other thing where they put like a thread and pull it up to the mucus in there to tie it up like you're hanging it, so your eye wouldn't go down, and that didn't work.
Dude.
And then they did a third one where they took my eyelid up the top and folded the skin down so that it would, it would cover the gap, so it would have blood circulation, because the skin graft wasn't working. So it took like 8 months to get my eye fixed.
That is involved.
It was like,
damn it.
It was a nightmare. I've had 3 skin grafts on my face, two by my eyes, and then that third one that didn't take. So it's crazy. It's because I'm Scottish. It's just, and then we moved here when I was 2 and just sat in the sun.
Right.
You've always been in the sun. You're outdoorsy.
Block wasn't a thing back then.
Jeff, this is Nick. I'm the non-ginger of this group.
Nick.
And so...
he's the only one non-ginger.
Super tan.
I told him, I said, I get really nervous. We had Trey Kennard on one time, and I was like, I get really nervous when I'm the only non-ginger. Like, that's not a minority that people are used to being
freaking odds.
We crushed
bad
it.
odds.
We dominated you that night.
Yeah, and I was like, now we got Jeff Ward coming on, and now I'm going to be
Good luck.
the minority again.
We'll mess you up.
But John and I have so of course, John's Irish descent, ginger, and so he's always getting stuff cut off him too. And so he got a pretty big scar the last time, and we came up with a really good, you could get in on this investment. It's a ground floor of this. A good idea for you gingers and your scars. Tell them what you came up with,
So
John.
Nick, I proposed this to my dermatologist lady. I'm like, hey, you ever thought about doing custom scars where you could make it look like a
permanent
shark,
tattoo?
like a shark bite or a dog bite or anything.
Vampire.
Yeah,
vampires.
Werewolf.
You kind of look through a book before you get your surgery.
Yeah.
You pick it, sort of like a tattoo.
Yeah, what
but,
kind of scar would
but
you
more
like, sir?
permanent.
Yeah. It's a brand. It's like a branding, You get the
Yes.
branding.
Yeah.
I mentioned
on
that
your
to
arm.
her,
You
and
could
then I had to go back up there for a follow up, and she comes walking out. She's like, "Hey, what about custom scars by Carrie?" Like, that's right.
I went with the brown
I
bear.
have one on my chest. The first one I ever got, I was like 21 years old, and I didn't know what it was. It just kept bleeding, and then of course racing, it would bleed because it get hit. So then I went in. Yeah, it was of course basal cell. So they cut it out, but it made it like a Superman S. It's an S on there. The way they made it.
Oh,
So
sweet.
See?
I got an S right in the middle of my chest.
So you're cutting
what's up.
edge.
So he thinks we stole his idea.
Yeah,
So
now he's like, oh, this
you
is
stole Jeff Ward's
These dudes are
idea.
Well,
stealing
they should have done it. They should have like dyed the cut with
Yes.
like an ink. So when the stitches came out, it stayed black.
Stayed,
or red
yes.
or whatever.
Hey, so let me kind of set the tone for
All
you.
right.
We've talked about this before you were on the show. So my dad owned a Cowie dealership. You've actually been in our dealership. My dad promoted, and I watered the track at Six Flags. So me and my brother, we were there. That was our race. That was my dad's
Yeah.
race, and you were there, obviously. And it was hotter than holy hell there.
Yeah.
And so we've
85,
been
yeah.
lifelong Cowie
84
guys.
and 85 or 2 years.
Yes, 84 and 85. So it was hot and shit. And like just letting you know, we are dorks for sure, but we are probably the biggest Kawasaki fans you're going to run across. So we were before the
cool.
like when you were on or before you were on, we were like, so tell me the first thing you think about when you think about Jeff Ward. So we say on any Sunday, the 500 with an
Right.
open face mask, like all the typical Jeff Ward stuff. And like, dude, none of that stuff makes sense to me. Like you were the last man holding on to that open face.
After
Yeah.
they didn't even sell the helmet, right, Jeff? I mean, you wore it longer than
Well,
they.
that's why I had to go to the full face, because I went like 2 years after they stopped production, and it's like, hey, if we're gonna pay you, you got to at least wear a helmet that we sell. So that's
The VFX,
when,
right?
That's when Troy Lee. Well, Dubach was wearing it, and a couple guys. It was just ugly because it had that square, ugly thing. So Troy's like, hey, let me have that, and he like rounded the front, and he changed it, and put the little different piece in there, and then that's when he started working with Shoei to kind of do helmets, and then he started doing his own helmets after that. So 5 or 6 years down the road, but we kind of started that trend of then I had to wear full face.
So in Kyle, Kevin's brother Kyle is here with us, and he rode a KX500 for years, and we talked about this earlier as well. Do you have all your original teeth?
That's a great question.
Because that's a great question for a 500 rider.
don't.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But
So Kyle doesn't either. Like, Kyle's like, yeah, 500 riders are like hockey players. We don't know.
Yeah, we're missing some teeth.
but was it from motocross or from just lack of hygiene? If you don't want to answer that question.
Motocross. It was back,
Okay.
It was back before I was even pro. It was like our Suzuki 80, or we didn't run crossbar pads. It was just the bar. Nobody had crossbar pads, so I just cased my face on the front, broke the front 2 teeth off in the middle. So then my mom actually worked for a dentist, so she was a technician. So I went in and got the front 2 teeth capped, and the side ones weren't capped. And then after a while, they didn't match. I looked like what's his Macaulay Culkin on whatever. That's where you put the chiclets in there.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I think back in the early mid 70s, it wasn't quite the perfection of it is now, so and then eventually down the road I had the other 2 capped as well, so it kind of matched the front teeth and blended in a little better.
Yeah. Well, let's circle.
And I've had my nose fixed, a bunch of stuff because of that.
You did wear the nose guard though. We talked about
wait, because of dirt bikes, like you've gotten busted in the face and had to get it fixed.
Yeah, I broke my nose on the crossbar and had to have cartilage put in it because it collapsed it, so they had to build cartilage up so it didn't look like a big hole in there.
Dang.
So it made my nose look better than it was, actually.
Yeah,
Sick.
I did a good job. Well, you're in California. Everybody's because of plastic surgeon,
Yeah,
like
they
you
did a
said.
good job of it.
Jeff Ward looks 28, man. It's
You got all
crazy.
the best people, and like you're in the perfect place to be a motocross guy getting your face beat
Yeah.
up. We talked about
Exactly.
not to fanboy out on you too much, but we had the conversation where you got here because Kevin and Kyle's dad owned the Cowie dealership. John and I both were KX kids coming up. We were all 80s kids. And we're like, man, this is probably, and we've had a bunch of people on this show, but we're probably the 4 biggest 80s Kawasaki geeks that you're ever going to run
cool.
into. Yeah, we were just like, I mean,
Nice.
we've got a,
Then you probably know more about me than I can remember then, probably.
Well, we definitely studied
well,
you.
we were studying you
I
while
run
you were.
into a lot of guys like that be talking about stuff, and I'm like, dude, I don't even remember what you're talking about.
You were busy winning races and
whatever.
banging your
don't
head on
remember
the
the track.
crossbar.
Hey, so when they come up
Yeah,
to you,
I
like,
don't even-
do they come at you like, hey, Jeff Ward, you remember that time you did that jump right there at Bud's Creek on the 500, Jeff Ward? And they say your name, the full name,
Yeah.
like
Full
3
name.
times.
Yeah, it's like I remember a few things, but yeah, a lot of stuff it just blends in, a lot of times. But some stuff will ring a bell if I'm talking to Bailey or Osho, or they'll come up and I'll come up with something that they don't remember. They're like, oh yeah, it just doesn't. There's just so many races that you do and travel, and some stuff you remember like it was yesterday, then other stuff you don't even remember going to the race.
But
It's like
you've
you
had
can't even remember that half that year.
you've had so much shit and you've done so much stuff in your life that there's no like you would have to have a 20 terabyte hard drive in your brain to remember every race you've been to and then you start figuring in the IndyCar stuff and we were talking about, they were like, what do you remember? And I was just like, man, it was just the 80s and I was a Kawasaki kid and it was Jeff Ward. And I remember there was a picture of you like coming around a flat corner on a 500 standing up. And then I said, but then I go to I was with somebody in Atlanta one time and we met you at the IndyCar race they had for like a year or two in Atlanta. They were like, oh yeah, you want to meet Jeff Ward? And I was like, oh yeah. And we went over and said hello, and I was like, oh my God, that's Jeff Ward. And the other people that there were a bunch of us there because we were blocking for a stunt show. And only the moto guys, everybody else was like, "Oh, cool, he's an IndyCar driver." And we're like,
No.
"No,
He's a really awesome dirt bike rider. He's a little bit more than that.
He is an
motocrosser.
awesome IndyCar driver." But in my mind, I go back to 12-year-old me going, "Holy shit, that's Jeff Ward."
Yeah, man.
All right, so we got the fanboy stuff out of the way here. We are dorks for sure.
Okay.
John, fire away.
I think the biggest problem, Jeff, is you've had such a good career, and there's so many angles and aspects to your career. But let's start. We got a nice XR75 sitting here with a 3X on it. And
Sweet.
was that Honda stuff? Was that really a factory effort, or was it just a local shop that sponsored you? Like, how did the XR75 thing go?
It was more my dad. I mean, even when we started, like even the wheelie on any Sunday, that Mini Trail 50. When I first started riding mini bikes, there were no mini bike races here in California. I mean, I used to do trials on the little 50, and that was it. There was at Saddleback, there was no mini bike track. There was the big track and speedway track or something, and that's it. And I was just doing trials because they had a kid sections for the kids just to kind of go ride to keep them, out of trouble. And so then we had the mini trail, but my dad modified that. He cut the bars on the back, lowered the seat, took off those screw-on handlebars and put real bars on it, and put a straight pipe and a carburetor and, different tires. So it became like a little race bike. And then they got together and we started racing around trash cans at Saddleback Park on the weekends. And then eventually Saddleback Park made like a giant TT kind of mini bike track. And that's kind of where we started racing. So then my dad was building stuff. And as things progressed, Honda came out with the SL70. We started riding that, and then Honda got interested because I was winning, races on that. And then it kind of went to where, the XR75 came out, and I'd already been, basically racing the 4-strokes. And a lot of guys at that time were running, the Yamaha 2-strokes. So they came out around the same time in the early 70s, and the YZ80 and all that. So, it was tough for a 75 4-stroke to beat an 82-stroke, just because the horsepower difference. So my dad really did a lot of work with them. And when we got the XR, he's the one that built it. We got C&J frame, made custom frames for us and custom swing arms. And, we had I don't know if there were DID wheels, but we got aluminum wheels and made it look like kind of like the factory RC, Marty Smith's bikes and them. But my dad did all the work and built the bikes and put oil coolers on them. We ran nitro, we lightened the flywheels, and the things were fast for the 4-stroke, and they're pretty competitive. But really, that's what kind of started the whole thing. And Honda kind of jumped on board with, I don't even know what kind of money, because I wasn't involved in the money situation where they paid our expenses but my dad opened up a shop called Jeff Ward Racing Products. And then we made those mini Elsinores that we sleeved down the 125 into 100, and we had the C&J special frame to lower it down and put the super mini wheels on the 16 and 19s and raced it in the super mini because we didn't have a bike to run. So my dad did all that stuff. So he was pretty
damn
good
handy
at it, and that's like when DG started doing stuff, and what's his name, Clem, everybody started trying to do the custom XRs. There was Hacienda, Honda had guys that were ready, so everybody was trying to, go the Honda route, but still the 2-strokes were pretty hard to beat. Myerscough was even on XR75s, and then we had to go to my last year I rode Suzuki 2-strokes, I believe.
Yeah.
So Honda was on board. My dad was the one that did all that, and Honda never did a thing for like building a bike wise. They just gave us production bikes, and we built them.
Just modified.
So how early into this prodigy type deal were you feeling like, all right, I think I'm pretty good? Because it sounds like at age 7 you were like getting a lot of help.
Yeah, I was winning, everything I rode pretty much. I mean, I'd get beat by a couple guys, or just I was really small for my age. So when you moved to like the 13 to 15 class, guys that were 15 were almost ready to drive, right? And I was 13, looking like I was 8.
Right.
So, weighing like 70 pounds maybe at the most, and racing guys that were 5'10", and I'm like 4'8". So I'd get beaten now and again, but I would beat all the mini bike guys. And then Myerscough, and there was a couple guys, Mike Brown, and AJY's guys that lived up more north at Indian Dunes that we didn't race much together until like the World Mini Grand Prix. And, I'd win the majority, and Myerscough was probably the next. And then, Mike Brown, a couple guys would sneak in a win if we'd have a bad moto or two or a crash or a mud race. But kind of Myerscough and I were kind of dominant in the mini bike ranks for a long time. And so that's kind of where I didn't really, I would never thought that I was going to be a professional motocross rider, because at that time it just started, like Supercross just started going, when I was racing mini bikes in 69, 67, there wasn't even nobody, there's Trans Am races over here from Europe, and we'd go watch those guys, DeCoster and Joel Robert and, guys like that. And then the American Stackable, you'd see these guys. And, but it just kind of really never, there was no pathway, because there was no mini bike protege. Like you could do this like there is now, where, yeah, you're great. You go to Loretta's, you win, you're going to move on, make some money, have a great career. There was no finish line yet. Nobody was like, yeah, I've been racing for 20, 30 years and made millions. It was like, we're just trying to get to the races, and, they got a factory effort. Nobody was making a lot of money back then. So I never thought about it until, I was getting close to, like, I want to race Supercross, because it was starting to get big, right, in the mid 70s. And I started riding them in 78, I think, my first one. So it was really just kind of like, that's where you wanted to be, try to just get there. I never thought about, I'm going to make a career out of this and get a contract and just keep going. It was just like, I want to race a Supercross, and it just kind of worked out.
Yeah, it just kind of worked out.
I would say it did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
perseverance
yeah.
and years and years
Work
and years.
out. But you know what? That kind of tells
Well,
you.
I didn't even qualify for my first race, Anaheim. I was running Yamaha at the time. I didn't even qualify for the main event. It was a mud race, actually, so that didn't help me out a lot.
Yeah.
So I didn't qualify, and then the next day there was a race at Saddleback Park. It was called the Day After, which was a mini bike race that all the, like, Hanna and Weinert and Mosier and, like, Stack, all the top guys, they've been doing it for years, like 3 or 4 years, and they had this mini bike track at Saddleback. It was like a giant BMX track, kind of like, and like a 5-man starting gate, and you had to qualify. And I ended up, I showed up for that. Brian and Myerscough and I showed up, and I was riding a Yamaha, I think a DG Yamaha at the time, and I waxed everybody. The guy, I didn't qualify the night before, and I spanked Hannah and all those guys on the mini bike. I just left them, and it was just like, they were kind of like pissed, because I fit the bike perfect for one.
Right.
But so yeah, it was kind of cool how that kind of all worked out. And then the next year I signed. I started doing the Supercross stuff more.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a totally off the wall question, but I know you've seen some Carson Brown videos. Like,
Yeah.
If that guy just teleported into 1984 and just showed up, and you're like, what in the hell is this guy doing? How long? Because everybody goes, hey, man, this guy, Carson Brown would win. He might win one, but I just feel like you guys would go, all right, so we can do this. We will do this. Like, how long do you, because you're a champion, you're a badass. How long would it take for you to go, fuck that, I'm going to have to beat this guy some way. I'll do what you're going to do. Because we've had this debate, me, Wygant, and a few other guys, like, yeah, it would take a while for you guys to figure it out, but we all agreed you guys would figure it out.
They would figure it out, yes.
Well, yeah, because we were the best at what we did, and then, I did that my whole career. You started off our Supercross stuff, there was barely any double jumps, and then all of a sudden the mini bike guys were doing stuff barely what we were doing, and then they'd come in and have something different, some different style, tapping the rear brake, and Bailey kind of started doing stuff. So every year, and then you got Bradshaw coming in, then you got some chicken coming in, and then Bale coming in, so skating the hoop. So there was transition with. We had the biggest transitions, because we went from tracks changing completely different to bikes that were changing every year to leaps and bounds, to just fit. Everything was just on this learning curve that was just going straight up to where, like right now, I would say from like 2010 till now, I think it's gotten easier. I think the bikes have gotten better. The tracks have gotten back. Those days of, I don't know, Pastrana, you look at some of those tracks, man, the landings were so steep, and the hoops were huge. And then now everything's just become this little cookie cutter.
9 whoops now.
And the bikes are so good and so easy to get out of corners when you make mistakes. Back then, you made a mistake on a 2-stroke, you were risking your life taking off on the takeoff.
Yeah.
Just because of that bog, and then you just had to go, and you were just praying that you weren't going to drag the pegs to make the jump. Nowadays they can almost crash in the corner and just hit seat bounce the whole triple.
First gear, yeah, make it.
They don't lose any time.
Yeah, I mean, anybody, all these guys. I mean, everybody had to catch up to Stewart. Everybody had to catch up to Karma. Everybody had to learn this. And now I don't know what the next thing would be. I mean, what else can they do on a motorcycle? That can get you to go any faster than what they're going. It's kind of like car racing. I mean, Indy cars is how much better or faster. They've been a stalemate for how many years? It's still the same at the speedway. Everybody's at 230 and that give or take a mile an hour, and it's the same. But you look 40 years ago, to get to even break 200 was unimaginable. Now they do it every lap as they race. So, and it's been that way for a long time now. Supercross is kind of the same. I mean, unless I don't know what they're going to do different to make it any different. There's nothing. I don't know electric bikes are like the next thing that could be different, but it's not going to be much different. It's just going to be the same.
Yeah.
So, and these guys have all done that, and they've got to this level, and who knows what it's, maybe they'll be doing 360 things going up and over, some kind of loop or something like a Hot Wheels track. I don't know.
Like a modern version of Rad.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like the way the sport changed from 1980 to 95. Holy cow. You're right. The bikes, fitness, everything, the gear.
Yeah. Well, then we got tracks to practice on. So then we got building stuff, and the ramp was just, it went off like it was just, and all of a sudden it went from like a 6th grade to like a 50, it just went straight up on bikes and tracks and hoops and just brakes, and all this stuff just came in all at this time, which was cool because it was, such a for the privateer guy, the development was crazy. They were just getting great bikes. Now, now the bikes across the board are like, what's the difference? 1% between one or the other on whatever you like best.
Yeah. What do you think the difference in bikes were back in your day? Because they're all so good now. Like, I feel they were like 5%, 10%. Yeah. Different.
Oh yeah. Barnett's 125 back when he was dominating those 3 years compared to our Cowie was shit. Mine was probably 80% of his bike, 70% of his bike. His bike weighed 176. My bike weighed 212.
Oh my God.
So they're like, we got to get the smallest guy. Jeff Ward, you're our guy.
Yeah, I got it. I whole shot. Our motor was great. The suspension was horrible. It would break all the time. Bikes were, his bike was just like he never had a problem. And that thing was just light, fast, and he was an animal. It was like you weren't going to beat him.
176.
So
yeah, that's light.
Yeah, that was
man.
the weight limit. That was the weight limit of the 250 weight limit back then was 215, I believe. So our 125 almost weighed as
it was
much
on
as
the
our
250
250
limit. That's terrible.
Yeah, so
That's sprung weight.
and then we finally started catching up, like 83, 84, 82. We had good bike. The bikes were down there on weight, and then even our 250 was overweight. And the year that we got the bike down to actually the 250 weight was 195 back then. It took us years to get the bike down to 196 or 7, and that year they changed the weight to where it was we had to put a skid plate on the bottom of it.
Son of a gun, a
lead 12-pound skid plate on the bottom.
Jesus.
Yeah, everybody else
That's
kind of
gnarly.
did too. They just changed the weight for whatever reason they did. They changed the 125 and the 250 because I think it was just too expensive to get a bike that light and not break, and because our bike was breaking all the time once we started trying to lighten things up with titanium triple clamps. I broke 2 or 3 sets of those right off the bike. The dog bone in the back, what they called the dog bone, the unitrack. Yeah. Snapped those all the time. So it was a struggle for many years with Cowie, but then again, I stuck with them because they stuck with me because I wasn't quite up to par yet I was just a late bloomer. I was 4'11", 95 pounds when I was 16. So my first years I wasn't there, for 3 or 4 years. I was still developing my strength and growing still a little bit, and eventually got to 5'6", almost 5'7". So, and then they had to kind of wait for me to develop too. They could have easily said, we're hiring, somebody else that's kicking out, Lachine or somebody in 83 or something. But it worked out in the long run.
Well, you definitely stayed with Cowie the whole entire time. I mean, you're the only non-Honda Supercross champ for, how many years was that? Like 15 or something. And then, basically from Hanson all the way up into the 90s, right?
Yeah.
There was no other bikes that won championships.
Right. It was from 78 and then till 90 something. That was Cowie and Honda, right? I mean, I can't remember
Yeah.
how long it was,
But you were the only
I mean,
one non-Honda to win.
yeah. Well, there's no, like when the 125 classes back in 81, 82, 83, 84, I was the only Cowie on the line.
Wow.
The production bike was so bad that nobody raced it. They rode Suzukis or Yamahas.
Yeah.
And some Hondas weren't even that big back then because their factory bike was so good and their production bike wasn't as good as I don't think Suzuki. I think Suzuki and Yamaha had the majority of the bikes back in the privateer days. And there was no Cowies, and there wasn't one guy that lined up on a Cowie till 84s or 85s when the bike started actually getting halfway decent in the 125 class. So, it wasn't the best bike at the time production wise for sure.
Hey Jeff, so talking about tracks, and we know we talked about kind of the evolution, and you were right in that sweet spot of the evolution between mid to late 80s into the 90s. Man, we really saw a change in the tracks, and I was just curious, did and I don't know who was building the tracks, if you're talking about mid to late 80s and Supercross versus the early 90s, was there ever any input, like would y'all go to like Anaheim 1 and you saw this track and it's like, holy shit, there's these are 65-foot triples. The whoops are tall. Like, was there ever any, did they ever talk to you guys about it, like as far as track design or anything like that, moving into?
Not really. I mean, Savitsky was building them for a long time, way back, and then I don't know who else. I don't know who else. What companies were coming in? I know there was one company, but Savitsky was doing it for a long time, and we just show up and look at the stuff like, I don't know. I think we can jump it. That was kind of like the. And then I'd be like, God damn, I hope nobody jumps that thing because I don't want to jump it.
Right.
And then you'd be out there in practice and frickin' Guy Cooper or somebody would just sky it like,
oh shit, I guess we're
die.
doing it.
There it goes.
Right?
It's on, yeah.
I guess we're doing it, right?
Damn it.
Yeah, and there was a couple of tracks like that where I did not want to jump a couple of things. We had one in Anaheim one year, and I think myself and Mickey Diamond and Brock jumped it, and perhaps Mickey might have been the first guy, and then I did it, and it was just like, he didn't want to do it. It was just too gnarly. It was like you jumped this triple double. I was onto a plateau that you had to land like just within a bike length, and then you hit this other thing that threw you up over, and it was as wide open off this little drop off thing to make it. And I remember the main event, I did it like 6 times maybe in a row, and I had a good enough lead from doing it, and then I stopped doing it. There was just no way.
Yeah.
I would if I did. I had a good enough lead, but there was always a couple stuff like that some guys would wait till the main event because nobody was jumping it, and then they'd jump it just to, and then you'd see it, and then you'd have to do it. And there was a lot of stuff that, and with our bikes, they just weren't set up to like jump. And when they got ruts, they were so soft that when you went up the ruts, the suspension moved so much that the pegs would drag so bad, So it was just, nowadays they're so stiff that they can get those ruts because they don't bottom out the suspension taking off.
Yeah.
Right. We did. It was just the takeoffs were steep and the landings were even steeper.
Hey Jeff, tell
really
me about racing factory bikes, and when you hopped on that 86, and you're like, well, this is it. This is what we're doing. Like, so
Production rule.
Yeah, the production rule, and how coming off the 85 to the 86, you're like, oh man, this kind of sucks. Or were your 86s pretty damn good?
No, they weren't good. I mean, 85, I won the Supercross and the Outdoor National. And that bike was like the best bike I ever raced. Yep. So I went from the best bike I had ever raced, where I could dominate, felt like I could with it, to a production bike that I've never rode, that was just heavy and slow. It was like, it was, and Honda had a way better production bike. Like I said, Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki had way better production bikes throughout those years. Cowie always was the last to have water cooled, the last to have disc brakes. It was like the last company to like catch up on everything. So when we went into the 86 season, we were way behind, like on the development of the production bike, and it just wasn't that good. Even though I won some races on it. I was still pretty competitive on it. But it just wasn't as good as the Honda.
How hard was it to line up every weekend, like knowing
there's a factory Honda beside you?
It's my best day. I'm going to have to, it's just not going to be good enough.
Well, I kind of got used to it with Barnett for a while. I mean, we all did. So it was kind of,
right.
Who was racing for second. But I mean, I still had the fight to win, and I still won. And I still wanted to win. It was just, I just had to work harder. I just had to figure out a way to get it done. It wasn't going to come easy, and I had to, my fitness had to be better. just to be stronger at the end. If our bike was 10%, maybe not as good, I needed to be 10% stronger at the end than that rider to make up the difference. And so I kind of did it around that to where I'm just going to have to wear them out more than try to beat them on pure speed. So yeah, it kind of worked back and forth, and then the bikes got pretty good, and 87 was a decent year. 88 bikes got good. From there on, I think we were pretty competitive, but Honda always was always a really good bike. I mean, they would just seem to be, just a powerhouse, and the factory effort, which just seems like a lot bigger than what Kawasaki's and everybody else's were at the time.
Yeah.
And I was on the way over to do the show, and I was chatting with Jason Wygant. He was asked Jeff about some string of days, some record you were going after in terms of riding every day, some ridiculous, and how you went about achieving this string of riding every day, like getting up, riding before flights to races. Go ahead.
Well, we back in the day, like even Osho, and we always had stuff that we'd challenge each other on, because we rode together sometimes, and it'd be like, who would run the most, this and that. We'd always have push-up contests, and so it was always like who went the longest without taking a shower. It was just all this stupid stuff. Who would go the longest without washing their motocross gear? We'd go like 2 weeks and be putting on the same pair of socks that were wet the day before. Just stupid stuff that was just kind of like. But I started riding and training for the Supercross season probably in the beginning of November, late October. Training, and I rode every day till like the middle of January. I never missed a day. Even if I went out just to do starts, I went out just so I wouldn't miss a day. After the Supercross, I flew home and went riding that day. So it was like so I went like 95 or 100 days in a row riding my motorcycle without missing a day.
God.
I did that one year. So it's like kind of like I am with cycling now. It's like you get going and you're like, oh, I can't take the day off. That'll ruin
you'll ruin your
3-week streak.
Yeah, you got your
So then you
streak
keep going, and then but it's not as bad as it was. But just for some reason back then, that was just something that I rode Christmas Day. Like it was just like stupid.
They might diagnose you. There's some mental condition you might have clinically now at this point.
No, I definitely have a mental problem, and Osho has one too, and a few other guys have some mental problems back then. But it was I don't know how it got broken. I probably got hurt, probably broke my ankle or something, and couldn't ride for the next. So that was probably like, thank God I broke my ankle.
Yeah, that way you didn't wuss out. It was a real excuse.
I got a real excuse now. But yeah, that was one of my claim to fames back then, of just riding every day.
Your mechanic was probably the one that was glad. Your mechanic's thank God.
100 filters, you son of a bitch.
I had a rotation down there at Cowie because they were on my way to riding. Their factory was in Lake Forest, which is right next to Mission Viejo, and I had to go that way. It was like a mile off the freeway to go to Corona to go right out there, or Glen Helen, or wherever I was going. If I was going to Carlsbad.
Well, here comes Jeff again. Get his damn bike. Son of a bitch, won't quit.
In there, I'd ride it for 3 or 4 days, and then I'd ride before I flew out, and then I'd come back, and I'd have to pick it up and on Sunday, and so it would be like I just. I don't know. I had a bike at home. I kept the bike at home extra. So it was this big rotation. So it worked out pretty good.
And your dad owned the property that the factory tracks are on currently. Is that right?
My father-in-law.
Okay.
Jared,
how did that even come to be? Like,
I
got a piece of property. Sure.
Way back like 81 or 2, right around there. Like the freeway out there, the 15 that goes by it.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't even there. There was no freeway. There was a road that went by it on the other side of the road. It's still there, the road that's there. I mean, it's all redone, but they put the 15 freeway in, but back then it was just a road and then a turn off and down the street where it dead ended, where there was a truck yard there, Corona Clay. That Roy Turner just went out there one day driving around looking because Honda, I think, was putting their Supercross in at Honda Land. So we're like, oh shit, we need a track. So he went out there and went down the street, and there was this truck yard that, they make clay and they have a ton of land out there. And he's like, hey, is it possible to maybe rent some land to build this track? And he was just like, hell yeah, what about right here? So it was right next to the truck yard. And so they went in there and started building the Supercross track. That was like 83, probably we started that. And then I rode there, for till '89 every year for 6 years, 7 years, and I knew Jerry. That was my father-in-law, his wife Joyce, my wife's Candace's sister Cindy. They used to all come to the races. Jerry didn't, but I saw him out there every day because he was out there working and would come by. And so my wife's mom and sister would go to races, and I would see them and get them passes. And sometimes they'd be on my flight on the way home and go to dinner with them at the track if I'd see them. So I knew them for 7 years before I met my wife Candace. She was going to college in Hawaii. They have a house over there, and so her dad was like, "You need to come out and meet this kid. He's out because he's Italian, hard worker, just works his ass off.
Yeah.
And this guy's out here every day. I've won championships and whatever, and all this." So she came out one day and with her dog, and I was just starting my second moto, I think, in the Supercross, probably second lap in, and she came walking through the gate, and Chicken was with me. We started our moto, and
Oh boy!
as soon as she
Don't
walked
say
in,
nothing.
Chicken
Let me
Chicken
talk.
pulled off.
Chicken pulls off. Of
Chicken
course
pulled-
he does.
Immediately, third lap in, he's riding over there, just talking to at the truck, and I'm doing my moto. The whole moto I finished. He hadn't even come back yet. He's still over talking.
Damn, your
pulled
hard
off.
work almost got in the
45-minute
way of
motos.
your wife.
Yeah, so she came there to meet me, and then Chicken's already hitting on her and whatever, and trying to get her number. And I just said, "Hey, hi," and she introduced herself, and I talked about her mom. "Oh, it's great, nice to meet you." And that was about it. I didn't ask anything. I was just like, "Oh, cool, nice to meet you." And so I can't remember. She left. She left. I don't know how I got her number, but I know she went to I think the LA Coliseum, and I didn't and then she came to the gate because her dad, and then we're in the pits, and she's like, "Hey, can you get my dad?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, oh sure." And I went over and got Jerry, and I don't know if they had a pass for her or whatever, but I didn't even talk to her then either. So it was like she was like,
Playing
"You're
hard
an
to get."
asshole."
Yeah, this dude's
And I'm like, "Hey,
serious.
you should be." I'm like, "You should be happy I didn't hit on you, because then you'd be like, okay, who else are you hitting on?"
Right.
So that just wasn't part of my deal. I was just there to race. I didn't care who. I'm just like, let me get in here, race, and let me get out of here. Get back to So
You would
then
not have
I got
survived
her
in the
number.
'90s, then, dude.
We've never thought of this,
No,
Kevin.
no,
we
I
could have
would-
sold
Yeah.
our style.
Yeah, the
as
lack of we suck so bad with ladies, so we could have just played that a little harder. like
Jeff
Jeff
played
Ward did,
it
and
was
got
like,
the lady
dude,
of his
hey,
dreams.
look, this is my style.
Matasevich tried, couldn't land it.
I think
Yeah,
you
he
kind of
struck out.
Damn.
might be a ginger thing, 'cause I think you guys did. You both outpunched your coverage a little bit.
Well,
so.
Jerry probably told her to stay away from Chicken. He knew
Chicken's
Chicken.
dangerous.
So he was probably like, "Don't talk to Chicken." She's like, "What?" She's like, "What the hell's a chicken?"
Yes, exactly.
You'll find,
Why
you'll
is
find out.
You're forbidden to talk to the
chicken.
tall, skinny guy.
I mean, that does bring up.
What's funny is Chicken was my best man at my wedding, so
Oh,
it
dang.
was kind of funny. Yeah, so he was great. We got along.
Did he understand
Really good,
that he was the
so-
best man, or if something happened to you, he was just hoping to fill in?
Yeah, exactly. He was.
I'm the
hoping
real
I'd get
best man.
Somebody, I'd get taken out on the way or something.
Yeah, he's telling everybody, "Yeah, I'm going to be the best man." I think what happens if Jeff gets hurt?
I'm like the vice president.
He's like
I
the
step
stunt
up.
man. Yeah, he just steps into the leadership role.
Correct.
Yes, of the Ward
So
household.
so all that land out there, the Supercross land, is in the family because Joyce passed away. Jerry passed away like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So kind of the son Craig kind of runs Corona Clay and does all the day by day. But they're on the board, and my son's on the board of Corona Clay, and which owns all that land out there that has I think 9 Supercross tracks on it now.
Yeah, it's a
That's
bunch.
amazing.
Yeah, I think they have about 400 acres they own out that way. I think.
Yeah,
Like,
land's
at
pretty
one
cheap
point,
out
he
that
was
way
like
too, right?
Yeah, California real
$200
estate.
an acre. Yeah, it's a couple $100.
Coronas.
It's
Land
like $1
price.
million an acre or something out here now, or something
Yeah.
out that way.
That's
So
wild.
yeah, it's there's a lot of money over there. So, but what's amazing about it is, he just kept building tracks for everybody. He just, and everything out there was pretty much built without a permit because
Hell yeah.
California is if you ask for a permit in California,
Mm-mm.
trust me, you won't
The
get
answer's
it. 'Cause
no.
They have kangaroo rats out there. They'll shut down your property. They'll take your property because of a fruit fly. His company's zoned for mining because that's what he does. He mines clay, and they make all the clay for baseball fields. All that red clay. So they for parks, and that's kind of their business. But they have other stuff that goes with it. But so they have a big mining place out there. And that's what it crushes all the clay and it leaves in the trucks. And now it's like there's so much involved with rain. If it rains, and any rain that comes off, because there's a riverbed there that
Oh wow, yeah.
the 100-year flood, that'll never happen. So if anything gets in there, they get fined. But he moved those mountains like with no permits. He just knocked down where K2 is up top in Suzuki, and we built a track for my kids who were going to do. There's just 2 mountains there, and he just goes up there and starts just excavating, and then somebody will come out and say, you can't do this, and you'll tell them to F off, get off the land.
Yeah.
He's like, and then they'll come out, and then
Love it.
my mother-in-law used to be she was on the board of Riverside, so she was in the county on the board out there, so she'd have to go put the fires out, and then he would just write a check, and that would be done.
So
he
just
basically got
fixed
fined,
everything when he wrote that check. We were back to square one.
But the whole thing is, though, everything he did is he would do it and then ask for forgiveness later. And that
there's truth to that.
You dang right.
The big truth to that.
because if you would have went there and said we want to put a supercross track in, it would never happen.
No.
And then there's a couple houses way in the back, and there's this one lady back there. She's pretty ornery, and she kind of complained a little bit, and I couldn't believe it because they were riding up there where the Suzuki track is, and she said she could hear it, the bikes, and they can't ride on Saturdays. There's rules, and Sundays. There's all these rules, but I'm like, man, it's almost 2 miles away, and I go, there's no way she can hear these bikes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I was with Cowie at the time, working with them. I go, I'm going to drive over there. So I drove, went up the road, got out, hiked up kind of close to her house, and I called him over there and go, okay, start riding. And sure as shit, you could hear those 450s. Like, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be sitting in the backyard listening to that bullshit, and I'm a rider.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jerry was talking, she was kind of pissed off about it, and she was struggling, and it's in the middle of nowhere. It's like a trailer park, a trailer house, out there on this land out there in the middle of the hills, and Jerry knows her, and she's complaining about this and that, and he's like, what's going on here? She's like, oh, I'm struggling and this and that. And he's like, what do you owe for this place here? And he told her what the number was, and then Jerry paid the house off for her.
Yeah.
And just let her stay, so he wouldn't complain.
Perfect.
He's
That's
like, here
great,
you go.
man.
Just
That works.
I'll buy your house off. Just don't shut us down or don't complain. Just takes one complaint. You get one complaint from somebody.
Yep.
It's just, and they come out and it's just a shit show.
It's
in
over
California.
then. Yep.
Hey, talk about Matasevich as a just
And Dogger.
and the Dogger, because they're both so rad. I love those guys and the stories, and I mean, just from what I saw from TV, like I just wanted to be a fly on the wall with some of your team meetings. Jeff Ward, the consummate pro. I like, Jeff, you got to chill out.
I
man.
imagine, Jeff, you probably had to watch
The
after
veteran,
him,
right?
right? You had to keep your
No,
eye
I
on
was
him.
I was the babysitter for sure. I was the guy that got Lachine to the track in the morning.
Get
I was
up,
the guy that
Ron.
got
We got to
him there,
go.
That couldn't have been an easy
Yeah,
job
just-
sometimes.
Where's Ron at?
It
He probably
was,
wasn't even there in the mornings.
He's coming.
No, he missed a lot of testing days. He just didn't show up, and just either was going to get his boat.
What'd you do to
said he
your
lost his
bike?
boots.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, left his boots at home so he could go pick up his boat or whatever the
So
story goes.
that was
Yeah.
Dogger. Chicken wasn't that bad. Chicken was pretty good about testing and doing stuff. Chicken was just hard to, I'd go pick him up at home, on the way out, because he lived on the way out here in Anaheim Hills. So I'd pick him up and we'd go ride. Otherwise, I don't know if he'd go ride as much as he should have, but he wasn't too bad. There was times, like we'd be out in Elsinore, these tracks in the hills that you just drive back to, and they're just single track dust bowls, and it's 100 degrees and it sucks and no fun. So we'd be riding, like I'd do a moto, like 40-minute moto, and 15 minutes in, he'd be at the truck and he'd get in water and drinking and sitting down, and then he'd come back out, and another 10 minutes later, he'd be back at the truck. And then another 10 minutes later. So he'd be at the truck 3 times while I'm still out there doing my same moto.
You never took a
It's like,
break.
dude, he's like, he's all, fuck, man, it's hotter than shit out here. I'm going, yeah, it is. I think I'm even wearing a sweater. I think I put a sweater on to even make it hotter.
I mean, Jeff Ward,
Jesus,
you rode
dude.
in mock turtleneck jerseys too, man. Those
Yeah, your
damn
jerseys had terry cloth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are horrible, those things.
Really?
No, I had a turtleneck on. I'm like, who made these?
Well, you know-
like we were racing in the snow.
Did you have any input? Because you talked to like Bailey. He's like,
No.
yeah, I was talking to the guys at JT. I
Not
said, let's
really.
do this, let's do that. And you're like, you're wearing damn thermals,
Like
racing the
here.
neck.
sweating.
I used to just cut them off with scissors, like on the
Oh,
arms,
yeah.
and then also around the neck. I just cut the neck off, and it looked like a tank top.
Yeah.
It's horrible looking, but
You're like Bill
yeah.
Belichick
So
out
yeah,
there.
some of that stuff I didn't have a lot of input in it. So
I think this in Silo, though, they probably got more money. They got more value per dollar for a sponsorship with you than any other
I would
company.
agree with that.
Shit, yeah, you
Absolutely,
saved their ass.
absolutely.
Nobody was wearing that. My brother wore it because of you.
Yeah, like nobody
Dave
else.
Logan-
like,
No, it was
if
a-
it wasn't for Jeff Ward, Sensalo would have, they'd never been.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I started wearing the all white, just had like the green cowie on the side. The jersey just had two
I
green
remember
cowies
that
on
shit.
the side with white helmet and white boots.
Oh,
I had a pair of
plainest thing
those
you could
pants
wear,
with
but
the
it looked-
white with
looked
green,
cool.
just because you know what I mean. Like I bought them from
Yeah.
y'all's dad at the shop. I was like, oh, those are the same pants Jeff Ward's got.
Yeah.
it's so dumb, but
Or
it's
like,
true.
Yeah, or the outdoors when it looked like a piranha got a hold of your jersey, like you would cut all the holes. That was the first.
I just cut it. Yeah,
Yeah, it was the
cut
first time
holes
I
in them.
remember that. Yeah, of anybody doing it, was just rad looking.
Because he was hot as shit. That's it.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's wearing
Yeah, it
full
was
100%
100% cotton
Yeah.
jersey. It was just stuck to. When it got wet, it was worse because it didn't. All the dirt stuck to the fabric, and it wouldn't let any air through. It was like wearing a cardboard in front of you. So I just cut it to where it almost would fall off. The sleeves would move up to my elbows, and the whole thing was just barely almost a tank top at the time. And AMA didn't really care at that time. So then they started making rules where you couldn't have your sleeves above your wrists because Dogger would pull them all the way up over his elbows.
Yeah.
He'd just pull them up and ride basically in short sleeve.
So I want to get
You know,
a little
start-
self-serving, and we talked about the Six Flags National. Like, again, my mother worked at Six Flags. She had been in finance forever. My dad went to school with the president, so he pitched this idea about doing a race there, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, they build a track sight unseen, and they do this race. Like, tell me, like, you're like, all right, we're going to Six Flags. What are we doing? Like,
You probably didn't know what Six Flags was first.
y'all had them out there, though, right?
Did you?
Yeah, we had Six Flags out.
Magic Mountain.
Valencia.
Okay.
Magic Mountain. Yeah, Six Flags. At the time, it was probably Magic Mountain.
Never knew that.
But we've been to Six Flags. Like I know Houston had a big one, or
Yep.
somewhere in like Dallas. I've been to it a couple times. So it was just kind of interesting to. I mean, a lot of tracks like that we went to. We didn't even know where we were going. Somewhere in farm field, like Troy, Ohio. It's
Yep.
like what the hell's in Troy, Ohio?
Corn.
Going down farm fields, you turn left. You're still going down farm fields, a dirt road. Then you turn left, and all of a sudden there's a gate, and there's a giant open field with a track in it.
Right.
With some trees. So that was kind of the same thing. I just remember the hotel and, a little bit of the pits. And I remember the track going into the trees and jumping down stuff. It was a pretty cool track. It was kind of super cautious a little bit. It was kind of pretty, had a lot of technical kind of jumps that where you could get over stuff and carry downhill speed. And
It was really
just
cool.
hotter than hell.
It was really
So-
cool. They brought you in July because I thought that's a really great time of year.
Yeah,
for Atlanta.
Georgia,
It's hot,
yeah.
nice of
it's
them.
hot as shit in that.
It's so funny. Like nowadays, I mean, because I've trained Anderson and Cole, and I've been all to these nationals for 2 or 3 years and I don't think I ever went to a national that was even close to what we raced in. It was like, where's the 100-degree, 2-degree heat with the 95% humidity? Where are those? I mean, we raced so many of those where guys were passing out and like
Getting IVs.
Yeah.
even Red Bud, it was like, and then I go to all these races and I'm like, they're complaining when it's like 87 and the sun's out. I'm like, it's not even that, there's no humidity. The humidity's not that bad. And I'm like, I don't know what happened, if the weather changed or something. But even today's year, like the last few years, I don't even remember any, except for Apollo that one year where they cut the motos down because it was 103
And maybe
or
Freestone.
something.
Freestone, people were blacking out. That was 2015.
Yeah, just think about it like
that Freestone that's the kind of racing that we used to do every weekend with
8 out of
40-minute
12
motos.
rounds. 8 out of 12 were that.
There
damn
were
hot.
more people falling out in the crowd
Yes.
back then. Like I would tell you have like that back in 84, 85 at Six Flags. There were more people falling out in the crowd. People can't even make the amusement park. It's so hot.
Well, I almost died that day.
I heard.
84 when I won the first moto, and then the second moto I was leading with like 2 laps to go, and I went through one of these powder berms behind somebody. My Jopa was already off, so I had my mouth like wide open.
Oh no.
And
Like saltines.
the guy in front of me just did the powder, and it went in my mouth, and I went to swallow. I couldn't swallow,
It's like
and I
glue.
was coughing, and I couldn't stop coughing, and then I couldn't breathe, and I was already ready to, I was already so hot I was going to pass out, and I just don't even remember. I just kept riding, and I remember Osho came by, and I saw the white flag, and I made the lap, and then when I came in the pits, I was looking for the ambulance, and I ran into a fence, and I fell over.
Jesus.
And
That's
then,
bad.
the ambulance, they all, people were there. And, I don't know, the paramedics came, and my head like swelled up, so I couldn't get my helmet off. It was like
Wow.
I was so swollen, like I don't know what was doing, like I was gonna blow up or something.
Close to death.
Explode.
Looking
Jeff
like
Ward blew up
Gazoo.
at Six Flags. What?
So it's like I almost died because I wasn't going to quit, but I couldn't breathe, and I was coughing so bad the whole time, trying to take a breath at the same time, and already overheating. You know,
That
I'm
is
ready to
wild.
freaking pass out already. And then, yeah, it was like scary. I was just like, I was so dizzy, and I couldn't even see, and I was just trying to find an ambulance, and I just ran into a fence and went up and just went down and laid there.
I don't know if
And,
you have any reason to remember this, but other than you guys were at Six Flags, but Billy Idol had a concert.
Oh yeah, he was in the pits.
Yeah, right.
No,
And so
he was at the hotel.
All right, great
Hotel
race,
we were
mate.
talking
great
about.
race. But I actually
RJ and Bailey went to that concert.
I did too. And
I did too.
they?
I was there.
I met Billy Idol
Yeah.
last year. Was it, what month is it? It was probably either beginning this year or last
This
year.
is June.
And I
almost.
talked to him about that, and he said, "Yeah, mate, it was so hot that we were jumping in the lake. Like after the concert, they went
Yeah.
back and jumped in
By the
lake.
Scream Machine?
And I was thinking, you were on stage. These guys were riding a motocross for 4
Yeah.
years.
I remember hanging out with him in the parking lot. We had our box vans there, and he was hanging out and talking. I think he sat on a couple bikes, and yeah, I think the concert was that night, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. Fuck, it's 100 degrees out. I'm not going standing around. I'm going in the air conditioning, and
Yeah. Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah, I didn't go, but yeah, I remember that. That's when I remember meeting him that day.
They were so funny. Like Billy
So-
Idol, everybody was talking, like just fanning out to Billy Idol, and I was like, "Do you remember that you went to Six Flags and they had a motocross race?" And he was like, "Yeah, I remember that. It was so cool." And he just like Billy Idol went into fanboying about being at the motocross, like in the pits, and
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
No, there was like in the 90s, we were good, or late 80s with Poison with Brett Michaels. He was a big motocross fan, and
Yep.
a couple of videos he did with motorcycles in it, you know, Cowie or something. And so he used to come to the race Supercross and always hang out in the box van. And I got him a helmet with Troy made a helmet with Poison on the back, and
Oh, that's cool.
I raced it and then gave it to him. And so he was super cool. Chicken and I went to like 2 or 3 of his concerts, you know, when he'd come down this way or something. So, and like, you know, like Mickey was with Motley Crue. And so those guys, all those 80s bands guys were always moto guys. I mean, they all raced, and we always did a bunch of stuff like video, you know, always going somewhere
Yeah.
to shoot a video or got them gear or something. So it was always cool to go to some concerts that, you know, you wouldn't have got all that kind of treatment if you didn't do it. So it was fun.
Yeah.
Back then, man, the 80s bands, that was it, man. The 80s were, if you were in
It
a
was
rock
epic.
band, you were it.
Yeah.
Dude, and, I mean, you had the hair. You had the hair. You were leading
I
that
had long
charge.
hair, yeah.
Hey, so 1990.
But
Listen,
I think Mickey, what's that?
no, go ahead. Mickey Diamond. He had rad hair too.
Yeah, I think Mickey Diamond was the king of the rock look.
For
He
sure.
had the hair.
Oh,
He,
easily.
he had the tattoos.
Yes.
He was definitely the rock star back then. We were all wishing we were Mickey Diamond.
Oh, he could have front. Yeah, he could have front any '80s hair band.
He looked
Back
like
in the day, he had the look.
He
for
reminded
sure.
me of Dan Cortez, and I know you remember that MTV footage. You remember that? It's about '92 with Dan Cortez. Hey, I'm Dan Cortez. I'm
Yeah.
gonna ride an RM 125, and
Yeah,
Dan
yeah.
rode about 100 feet,
Right.
and he was mic'd up, and it was
Ate
so
shit,
good
yep.
Yeah, sketchy.
when he rolls the windows
funny.
up over
Hey,
that bull burn.
Before you go to 1990,
We
so you want to be there. I
I
know.
do so bad because RJ and Bailey get there 86 Anaheim, but don't you take that away from Jeff Ward.
I was going to circle back to this 84 Six Flags.
Yep.
We had Jeff Chambers in here last week. Jeff for talking old Cowie stuff, and he was talking about Mike McAndrews had shipped him this secret motor, and it was the first power valve motor. And he says you
Right.
guys maybe went over there and tested it, and that you made the decision for 84 to go ahead and run that power valve motor. You remember any of that?
Yeah, I remember the power valve was called KIPS.
Yep.
KIPS,
Kawasaki
whatever that meant.
integrated porting
Kawasaki
system. We're
something
nerds.
something
Integrated porting
I thought it was
system.
integrated power system.
Porting.
power system something. Yeah, but it's called KIPS.
He's
I don't know
gonna
if we had
Google
on the 83 or something. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I know we tested it probably in 83.
Yep.
I don't know if we raced it or not, but yeah, 84 when that came out. Oh man, it changed our bike like amazing. But they gave it so much more bottom without having to lose the top.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember the motors coming because it was a work in progress, and I remember testing it. Just back then when the factories, it just took forever for them it was all hand built. It
Yeah.
wasn't like we're making it and here we go. It was like we made one and
So
here's the only one.
did you get a call? Did you get a call from someone in Japan like,
Mr. Jeff, I have new motor for you Six Flags, you race.
No.
no, it didn't happen that way. In my mind, it did.
Nah. Nah.
See, don't
That's
ruin
how
that for him.
Kevin
Don't
said
ruin
it.
that for him.
The funny thing,
He was a
Jeff,
samurai engineer, by the way, is how that worked.
Yes.
yeah, with us being hung up on the power valve is because we were at a vintage race recently, and a guy was bitching about like what class was what. He was like, "Yeah, but that dude's got a power valve." You know what I mean? Like he's got a power valve.
That's how nerdy they
We're
are.
just
That's
over here
how
like, why don't
into
you
Hey
it.
man, I
ride
ain't
hard?
trying to cause a problem, but this here's power valve free class only, pre 84, sir.
Yes.
Like,
And so we laughed about that so much, and then we had Jeff Chambers
Power
in here,
valve.
Yes.
and he said, "Well, Jeff Ward said that the power valve motor was way better." And we're like, "Oh shit, that guy
he was right.
Yes.
He was way better.
Well, it's not a turbo. It's not like you're putting a turbo on it or a blower.
Yes.
And we're talking
With
about
the power
guys that are
valve.
like slower than novice.
We're like,
Full
listen,
on
we're
beginner.
gonna suck no matter what. I'm gonna
Yes.
be a second of either. Put me on a new bike, old bike. It ain't gonna matter.
No, it's not going to matter.
I mean, I think it just like it just closed when you got out. You know, you climbed the throttle at the bottom. It just closed off like the open, so it made more compression. You know, at the bottom without losing
Yeah.
the top end RPM. Because if we put like an RPM top pipe on it and did all this, then the bottom sucked. You know, because you couldn't port it both ways, kind of like. So this power valve kind of worked. You know, up and down worked the same way as it. You know, as the cylinder should work if you did it one way or the other, which was
Yeah.
pretty smart. So yeah, it gave the bike so much more bottom without having to make a bottom pipe and then like just totally flatten off at, you know, whatever RPM, 2000 RPM before it should.
We just had a running joke with it about how silly that was, and then Jeff Chambers came in and like,
No, it was way better.
yeah,
He
he was
let the air out of our balloon.
Yeah.
It don't matter what you run. It's
like
like,
he just
yeah.
shot out 6 weeks of our running joke about this guy in the power valve. Like, yeah, Jeff Ward said it was, but I'm like, oh,
Dang it. Well, it was apparently so good that this motor, you said, I'm going to race that
And
this
then
weekend.
they basically said you kept winning the rest of the year. So.
Right.
Yeah. So it was we ran it. I mean, the 84, I won 8 out of 10 nationals on the bike. So,
Yeah.
and I won two of the other motos that, you know, I didn't win on. So it was, it was a good bike.
I won a moto on a power valve equipped 86
Recently.
KX 125 last weekend.
Get
And
some.
Nice.
Yeah, he didn't want to say
Perfect.
nothing, but
I ain't trying to
I
brag.
don't want
but,
to I don't want to get any kind of competition with Jeff Ward, but
Damn,
Yeah.
you get a bragging
you don't
contest.
want to.
I did
Dick
win.
measuring with Jeff Ford here over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, but at least Jeff, you never outweighed the motorcycle like I did.
He might have. When it,
Yeah,
That's
no.
a good point.
Nah, dude, he did.
Yeah, I'd have the weight advantage.
For sure.
Yeah, I clearly outweigh that 195
You do.
pound motorcycle.
So, Jeff, everybody talks about competition and racing. It's a two-part question. The 80s were chock full of so many damn different winners. Like the 90s, it was Jeremy McGrath
Yeah.
forever. Then it was Ricky, and then it was like, but
Right.
there was so many guys. Like, how did you maintain your mental focus to go, I'm still good, I'm still good. Bailey beat me. I'm still good, I'm still good. All right, Rick Johnson beat me. Damn it, I'm still good, I'm still good. Brock
Yeah,
Ward
Johnson.
or
Well,
Brock,
yeah,
Brock Glover.
Brock.
Damn it,
Yeah.
yes, all these guys.
Yeah, just like, you know, Bradshaw, Stanton. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, there was just so I don't know. I think it just had something to do with the tracks and the bikes. I don't know why there was so many good guys that could, you know, win at the time. I don't know. Maybe we all weren't that good or something. I don't know. It's like to be that. I don't know.
I think it's opposite. I think you guys were all that good.
You
though.
were
Like,
all
also
that good
good, I
though.
don't know.
O'Mara, I didn't even say O'Mara, Lachine. Jesus Christ.
I know it's
man.
hard not. You
Yeah.
can't leave.
Glover.
name
and
them
like the
all.
guys are good now, but
Hell,
like,
Hannah was
we
good
were
back
talking
then.
about earlier, is that you know if you made it, you had to be
well, I
so
kinda-
precise back then because if you made a mistake, it cost you 5 seconds. And these guys make a mistake now and they twist the throttle on that 450.
Make it up.
Cost them nothing. You know.
Yeah, I mean, the time, like I said, the times were changing so much that different manufacturers kind of had advantages at certain points. You know, sometimes so these new bikes would come out like they were so different, and then like Lachine had that rotary valve 125 that kicked ass. You know, and it's like all of a sudden he was like, "Shit, how are we gonna beat this guy?" And then the next, you know, Suzuki was with Barnett. How are we gonna beat the? You know, my bikes were good, and then the Hondas were always. So it was like, I think just when parts would come, because we get, you know, parts middle of the year or third race in, we'd have a new improved part. Or, you know, nowadays the bike's the same the whole year. They just change the clutch plates, it seems like.
Right.
So I think there was just so many things that made you better one weekend than the next, and the tracks were so different, like rutted and hard, and it was just like so much different to where now, I mean, yeah, there's a little bit difference in the dirt texture and it's a little greasy here, but man, we had tracks that were just so completely different from one week to the other. That just made somebody else ride better than what I could ride that track at.
Yeah.
You know what, Jeff? That's funny
know?
you say that, because I literally texted Wygant during the national. I'm like, gone are the hard pack days of California. Pala looked gorgeous. It was deep. It was loamy. And I'm like, that's no longer a thing anymore. Like, it used to be a thing when you went out west.
Saddleback
Hard
or
pack, hot as
Carlsbad.
shit. Yeah, baked on.
Yeah, no, we've had just cold weather though. I mean, we haven't seen the sun. The sun hasn't been coming out here for like 3 months, and it's like it hasn't got above 70.
Wow.
Like
Those
we
Beach
haven't had
Boys
a
are full
hot
of
day
shit.
yet this year. So they've been lucky that they've been able to, keep water in it, and it wasn't hot that day. So we had a lot more rain than we've had over February and March. So that helped out
That
too.
helped,
But
yeah.
but by the summer, if they were back there again in August or September, it'd be hotter and shit and hot, dry, and
Pure hell.
it would probably suck. It would suck. But I don't know why. I mean, the McGrath era, it just seemed like everybody was done racing by at that time, and it's kind of like almost like now with Jet. I mean, yeah, you got one guy, but the rest are going out.
That's a good point. He's about to hit that little
all
period.
the top guys that were winning championships are ready. They're in their 30s, ready to leave, and there's nobody behind them. Like when I left, and then Bale left, and Stanton was on his last year. He wasn't as good as he was 3 years ago, and he fought for McGrath. But McGrath was the head of the time. But then when we left, all he had was Larocco and Kudrowski. They were his main competition, and those guys weren't anybody's competition when we were all there. Yeah, they'd put in a good moto now and again, but they weren't winning races or championships.
Right.
So that was, and then Lush came, and then then Emig was McGrath's probably biggest threat, of a guy that could beat McGrath, but I don't put him in the ranks of a Bale or a Bradshaw and that type of guy that we had. So, and now I think at this time it's kind of getting in that to where I don't see anybody. Sexton, I think, is the only guy that's going to be able to beat Jet right now. Outdoor, I don't know who else is going to step it up, but I was bummed Tomac got hurt, because I'm sure he could have done a few good races all year. But then when those guys go with Anderson and Barsha and everybody else, I don't know who's he going to be racing. I mean, we'd have to probably wait for Danger Boy coming up, or somebody like Kitchen, maybe, if he's going to be a great 450 rider. And I mean, I don't know. It's Plessinger's running good, but I don't see him running Jet down every weekend. So he could go on. I mean, he already has gone on a run, right? I mean, last year he had less competition than he has this year.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why. I'm like, we just had an era that there was just so many guys that were just championship material mentality, and that kind of just was, Ricky and I talk about it, because Ricky and I went for like 4 to 5 years where I won, he got second, and I won. He won the outdoor, I won the Supercross, he won the 500. It was like 5 times I got second behind him. I'm like, dude, if you weren't there, I'd have 12 championships.
For
He's like,
sure,
dude, if you weren't
man.
there,
True.
I'd have 12 too.
That's
So
right.
it's like just that one guy that was there that just, we were so even that we were just taking wins away from each other. And if I wasn't there, then he would just had a cakewalk, like, he wouldn't have had anybody.
Right.
So do you subscribe to this whole notion that Jet is just doing something completely different we've never seen before, or is this, like you're saying, is this more of a competition thing?
Timing issue.
I mean, the kid is unreal on a motorcycle. There's no doubt about
Yeah.
it. But from your experience and what you see, especially experiencing the evolution of racing with tracks and everything, do you see something different that's above and beyond what everybody else is doing, or is it just kind of a situation where it's the competition that he's against? I mean, obviously these guys are fast.
No,
Don't get me
because
wrong.
because I think Sexton is equally as talented as Jet.
Agreed.
Like style wise, speed wise, because he's proven it. Just but if there's something Jet has mentally that Sexton doesn't have. Sexton seems to be in his head more than Jet, where Jet's just so nonchalant about not giving a shit, kind of like,
Right.
I think like he just rides so carefree that he he's so, where you can say Sexton's riding carefree, but you can tell he's having to think about it. It looks like, like where Jet doesn't look like he's thinking about anything except just having fun.
Yep.
And that's when you ride your best, man. When you're just out there like, hey, I'm just going to show everybody how good I am and just amaze people, and you just do it. I mean, that was my mentality. Was like, okay, I'm just going to go show these, how good I am. Watch this, just watch, and just it's almost like you're showing off as like you're a actor or something, just flowing and because if you get in your head about like, I have to win, I got to beat this guy, you can't ride like that because you're not thinking the right stuff. So every little mistake magnifies. If you wash out and lose some time, you're like, oh fuck, I got to make this up. Like shit, damn it. And then you start forcing stuff where Jet can swap, go off the track, and come back on and make it look good, and like he meant to do it. And then all of a sudden he's like back in the rhythm and barely lost a beat. So talent wise, I think they're basically the same, but mentally, Jet's just in this position right now until somebody rattles them and gets in there. And I think Sexton can do it. Because I think last week, if he didn't go off the track, I think that would have been. I think it would have been a good finish because I think he would have been right on him. It would have been nice to see Jet have to make mistakes or push it, and going off the track just gave him that freedom to slow down. And even though he caught him at the end, Jet was just cruising and didn't know he was coming that fast. And nothing was wrong with Jet. He wasn't tired or anything. And people thought it was like, oh my God, Sexton would have flown by him and won by 5 seconds. It's like, no, he backed it down 3 seconds when one lap and realized that, he was there, and then he was fine. So but there'll be some good races. The problem is I don't like the great starts. I think you need to go dirt starts on outdoor. 100% Supercross, agree. I understand indoor because of the small space and just the way the start's jacked anyway. There's no room to get a start from the outside on dirt, and makes it a little more fair. But the greats on outdoor just need to go back to dirt, to where you have to pack it, you got to build it up, you got to use your clutch. Right now, that all they do is pull the clutch in, rev it wide open, and drop it, and then make a shift. And there's no throttle, there's no clutch.
Just set the traction control. Don't forget that.
Yeah,
well, that's all it is. I mean, it's
they just
front start hook, rear start hook.
Yeah.
Start map, shift gears, turns the start map off. Yeah.
Some scientists of the GPS
and Jet and Hunter, and I should say Hunter put Hunter into the list of doing winning a moto this year, or at least
he should.
Almost winning a moto, and he could have. But the whole thing is, it's like, look at those Honda starts this week, and if they do that every week, nobody's going to get them. Ooh. If Jet hole shots every week, I don't, I just don't see. And if Sexton gets off fifth, it takes too long and it's too much work to catch back up. And he needs to be there out front and make Jet try to catch him. And, it's just those greats just make it so predictable that you just need something that makes him get a 10th place start or a mid-pack start because he bogged the bike or spun the wheel or didn't shift it quick enough. Put 3 more things involved in there to, it's like, I know Pulp and Matt, they always Steve wants to take off the start devices. Then there's another whole thing put into it to where, now it comes down to at least the rider has to do the clutch and sitting forward and not wheeling. And, so that's my biggest pet peeve.
I think it goes back to what you said too about the bikes being so good. You don't need to make it that much more even because the bikes are so good that, like the days of like you getting back in the day, you could get a bad start and come through the pack. Well, it's hard for these guys to come from 10th now because the bikes are like,
they're equal.
It's almost like a road race.
Almost.
They're not, they're equal on everything. The bikes there's not a lot of penalty for making a mistake unless you really make a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and some of the tracks dictate it too because of how kind of overwatered they are. They've gotten away from that to where, because there used to be like sometimes a high point where those ruts were so long and big and you couldn't go outside because it was too muddy, so they would just follow the leader on a lot of those. And when those ruts get that deep and long, it's kind of hard to pass. The track, like this weekend was pretty decent. I thought it was good to be able to try outside, inside, roll rhythm stuff, rollers. It looked pretty good to where guys could take different lines and get close if the guy made a mistake and get by, but some of the tracks just dictate where a bad start, you're not going anywhere for a while. And last week looked like guys could, pretty much, Sexton, maybe who moved up quick when he wasn't fit, so there was passing. But sometimes the track dictates how hard it is to get it. But the lights class, it doesn't matter. I don't think what track they go to. They got like 15 deep that can all do the same lap time.
I know.
Like
Competitive.
for like 5 laps, 6 laps, there's like 15 guys that can do 5 laps at the same lap time. Where the 450, there's only like about 5.
Right.
I was
maybe, or
texting
4 that could do that.
I texted Kyle, my brother, across from me, sitting right now. I'm like, dude, this track, these first few laps of that damn 250 class, holy shit! If you by law, and I texted Weeds during the race, I'm like, and he responded during this race, I'm like, shouldn't you be working?
While he's calling the race.
Yes, he goes, it's an AMA rule. You have to throw it freaking sideways as shit during those first few
on
laps.
the first lap
In the
when
250
everybody's
class,
all
it's
bunched
so
up. Let's
dumb.
just pitch it sideways.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's so fun to watch.
Yeah,
but-
no, it's full sprint racing to get by somebody. It's just that class is going to be fun this year. I mean, I think it's going to be. There's a lot of heavy hitters in there. I think there's like 5 guys that can win, 6 guys, and it's going to be like one of those. It's almost going to be like the World Championship, right? Where it's like you can't afford to have a DNF. It's like, well, I don't mean you can't afford a DNF anywhere, but it just seems like in Europe, you just can't have a problem. There's just so many guys that can win the champion. Same here. It's like you can't have the problem, but there's just gonna be a lot of guys I think that can win.
Yeah.
So all right, so 1990, we talk about Bailey and RJ, 86, Anaheim, that's the one. But like for my money, because I was at that damn race because I'm a redneck from Atlanta, and we were like, what is Jeff Ward? Like it was the wildest race. We had 900 liters. For you, like just take me through that race. I know you've probably done the raceables and all the other bullshit that go with talking about this race, but
in 86, the Anaheim.
No, 90.
No,
90 when
I'm
you won in
saying
Atlanta.
because
Oh,
everybody says RJ in that
Atlanta.
race. Yes.
Oh, Atlanta. Yeah, that was that was an interesting race because I actually got a really good start. I was like, if you watch the video, I'm like in 3rd place coming into that hoop section, and then I went from like 3rd to like 14th on the first lap. I don't know where I went. I mean, all of a sudden there I was, and then I just remember like I was just getting past. Like I'd get hit, go outside, 2 guys would get me. I'd try to go here. All of a sudden somebody else would get me. I got parked. Somebody else I went from 3rd to like 12th, 13th. I don't even know. I wasn't even in the picture for half the race. I don't know where I was. And I was just picking one guy off a lap. Just had good lines, felt good. Just, and then, up front, a few things were going when Kudowski and Bradshaw got together. That helped. And then I just started getting kind of closer and closer and kind of like RJ and Cooper were kind of hitting each other. And so they were slowing each other down. And Kudowski got banners in his, I think, wheel and hit his brake and went up in the corner. And I just missed him and got him. And so next thing you know, it's like 4 laps to go and I'm in 3rd. And I could see those guys, and I just had a really good line through the hoops where I was just wheeling in and missing this bump, and then I'd get out of the rut and go down the right side and skating across them instead of staying in the rut. And I just started picking off, guys, and luckily I was close enough. After I got Johnson, I was close enough to Cooper to do the same thing on the last lap. So, I was kind of shocked that I'd won that race. I was pretty surprised that.
You were doing that, and there was just all hell breaking loose in front of you the whole time. That was just like
that's what I mean. It kind of helped me out. I had good lines, and I was just slowly, and everybody just kind of kept disintegrating each other and helped me catch them. And then I had such a good couple lines, and I just bag them when I got them. And then, somebody else would have an issue with somebody. Next thing you know, they were in front of me, kind of struggling. Then I got them, and it was just kind of like, boom, 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 and all of a sudden, there I was in 3rd. Kind of reeling because him, Cooper and Ricky were, brake checking and going out and trying to get each other. And Cooper stalled it, I think, in one corner. And, and so then he caught back up and got Ricky. So it helped me catch up a little bit for sure. And then the timing was just perfect to squeak by both those guys. One on the lap to go. And
was that your plan to go triple pump? Was there a 5 pump, 4 pump?
No, I don't even know. I don't even know why I did that. It was just
that was awesome.
Because it was
random.
badass. That's what
It was just
Yeah.
and then I did like a double pump on the next little double.
So we went
Yeah.
3-2.
And there's
Wow.
one double in the corner.
3-2 on the pumps.
I did
5 pumps.
3-2, yeah.
Never before done in competition.
And your
I believe.
description of that race was just more exciting than any race we've seen in 5 years.
It's considered the greatest Supercross of all time, in my opinion. I mean, they argue 86 Anaheim, but it didn't have near the drama.
86 Anaheim was
But
two
that was
guys.
two people.
And I get it. It's a
Well,
slugfest.
Anaheim was good. I mean, I wasn't in it because I got pulled out because of my throttle cable broke. So I didn't make the main event. So, but that was only two guys, and they were just kind of going back and forth, and then Bailey kind of separated at the end there and kind of made it look easy. But like our race, it was like from start to finish, there was like 7 guys that were going for the lead, until I came. First it was, Cooper, then, I don't know if Johnson was up there first, but there was O'Mara. He was up there, taking it was just like Bradshaw. It was like there was so many guys that were fighting for the lead that all of a sudden were just like, boof, he's done.
Finish
It
him.
was just like going back and forth. So the whole time there were even 4th and 5th, there was guys like T-boning each other, chickens back there taking somebody out,
Larry Ward.
So I could see all this because I'm back there in about 10th, still
these
seeing
idiots.
everybody just freight line and there's just this freight line of guys because that hoop section had one line in it. So everybody would turn that corner and just kind of go, just like shotgunning all the way through there. And I'm back there like, you can't see the rut when you're right on somebody, right? So you're kind of like, and then I found this line where I just kind of wheelie halfway through and then pick the front up and then get out of that rut and just skate across the last like 5 ruts off to the side, and that's how I made my passes because I could get out of that rut. Because by that time you picked up too much speed where the back end was starting to go left and right. So yeah, it was like I'd say that Atlanta would, even if I didn't win it, it had to be the best race just because every 2 laps a new leader took the race or somebody was just doing something, super cool or funny or just whatever it was. And like I said, I know those two had a great race and they were on the same team. So it was just kind of like, Bailey nobody was really hitting each other. I mean, RJ wasn't going to take out David. David wasn't going to take out RJ.
Right.
They're on the same team. So it was kind of like a gentleman's race. I mean, they both wanted to win, but they kind of waited till the end and it really never happened where David pulled away and it really never went down to like a last lap brawl where somebody was going for it. He kind of opened it up. So, but our race was, there was from start to finish, there wasn't one lap I don't think the crowd was cheering.
So if you're trying to introduce someone to Supercross, it goes, hey, check out the 1990 Supercross. They're like, man, is it this way every time? Holy shit, it's so good.
Well, what's cool though is that Atlanta track for some reason always had good racing. The way they made it, I don't know how. It's just every year we went there, the track was always just really good for racing. I don't know if it was the dirt or how they laid it out, but it just was always good racing. So I don't know if it was the shape of the baseball field there at the time or but it just always had a really good track for some reason. And like Anaheim was an okay track. It was kind of broken up, like kind of like that steep stuff, slow stuff, and a couple of fast stuff. But that the Atlanta track was just such good momentum. The whole track had just good momentum the whole race. Mm-hmm. So that played it because there was always good races there.
90 Atlanta, you were the inspiration for Days of Thunder when they're like, he's picking up spaces. You're like, Cole, you're going faster.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going faster. They're just getting slower, and everybody's up there killing each other, and you're just coming.
Yeah, what are you saying? You're like, look at these idiots. Like, they're just killing themselves. And I know you're seeing it. You even said it.
And you were just steady Eddie coming up to the front.
I was just saying thank you. When I see thank I'm like, thanks, Grudowski, for just cleaning out Bradshaw. That made it a lot easier.
That's $10,000. Thank you.
I didn't have to fight Bradshaw for a place because that's always hard. So he just cleaned them out, and that took that out of the equation. And so there was a couple things. And Chicken did a couple for me. I remember he cleaned somebody. I got them both at the same time because he was like screwing with Larry Ward or somebody like they always did. So it was always like, thank you. And I was never the guy, I was never that guy that got screwed with because I never screwed with anybody else. So nobody was coming in on me to brake check me because I never did it to anybody.
No,
Chicken did it to everybody.
Coming.
Yeah. Chicken and Bradshaw hit everybody and blocked. So they always expected it. And so I never got hit by him really too much. So never Chicken, but Bradshaw, maybe. But that's why I was thankful that he took him out because I knew if I hit him, I'm going to have eyes on the back of my head because
that's right.
I'm going to get cleaned out. So I got good breaks the whole way through where it was kind of like, here you go. Thank you. Here you go. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
But,
awesome.
Yeah, good race though. My wife, actually, I was 90, so we were just together like only for about 7 months. So that was like one of the first races. The whole family came there, so that was a fun one to win.
That sealed the deal. She's like, I'm marrying
this warrior.
He's a champion.
Yeah. That was good. It was good I brought her because then I didn't have chicken trying to pull me down to
That's
downtown
right.
Atlanta to Cheetah,
Cheetah 3.
Threes.
At the Cheetah 3.
He knows. He
I
knows
didn't
the
have
spots.
Denny Stevenson, and everybody's like, the years before where I was like, we're heading to Cheetah Threes. They're like, oh, shit.
Jeez.
Good Lord. That's my
Yeah,
bachelor
so-
party was there.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah,
That place is
Awful.
lots of stories there.
that's
Top
funny.
shelf place.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to go donations.
that-
We're going to wrap this up before we finally let you go. But donations, like we would be remiss if we didn't
You have
bring
to
up.
acknowledge it.
Oh, 100%.
The
Just
winningest American.
like you've done it all.
Yeah.
And how important, like it's still important. We're old guys, so it's important to us, and I think it's kind of lost its luster,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But
It
like,
hasn't to me.
Yeah.
But
No.
I think to the general public
Yeah.
or the industry
Yeah.
or something. Because, man,
Yeah.
Wardy, you answered the call every time. And fortunately, they were all wins.
Yeah, it was 9 of them because with the first 2 we had the trophy donations and the motocross because we raced the 500s on the first weekend and then the 250s on the second weekend. So that was a big effort because we had to bring two bikes, stay there longer. One couple years it was between our nationals and Supercross, so we had to go over there and race that and then come back and still finish out the year. So
God, that
it wasn't
sounds
like it was at the end of the year a lot.
tough.
So it was a lot of work and a lot of dedication to be there. But back in the day there, after Honda went over and won the 2 and got everybody jacked up on defending it, and then AMA came out and said, you know what, we're gonna put this together and take one guy from each factory, which the first one was Brock and Barnett, and then Bailey and me for the first races. And so that was super cool to do that. And then it just became a mission to kind of keep it going. The only time I turned down was in '86 when they wanted me to ride the 125 in Italy. And like I said, we didn't have a good production bike at that time, especially at 125. I don't even know who was racing our 125 factory guy at that time. So maybe Eddie Warren. I don't even know. But it wasn't
sounds
a
right.
good bike. And I just felt like,
Warren Reed, Goat Bracket,
you know what, guy, I don't think
still
I'm
hanging around.
the guy for this. Like I want to win, and I just felt like I needed to pass. And I thought they'd take Mickey Diamond because he was the 125 champion, I
Yeah.
think, that year. And then they ended up taking Osho, which I see because Osho is an awesome 125 rider. And
Yep.
'85, he had a great year. He was battling me for the Supercross championship and the outdoor championship. So that was a great choice. And then when he went and just kicked everybody's ass on that 125, I was like, damn it, I should have went. I should have went. I
Yeah.
could have done. I don't know if I would, because he got to run a factory bike, right? Because in Europe,
Yeah.
he used
There's
one
no
of the
production.
factory.
Yes.
There's no production rule, but we didn't even have a 125 rider, I don't think, on the world tour back then. So I was going to be riding a production bike,
Mm,
and I'm like, nah, I don't want to be looking
big
that
hills.
bad.
that would have been tough.
So we would have still won, right? Because those 2 guys dominated, Ricky and RJ, and I would have probably got enough points in a class where I probably got third, and we would have won anyway. But I just was not really wanting to do it, so they just picked whoever they wanted. But then in '88, they asked me to ride the 125, and I said yes, I will.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't want to miss out, and I hadn't ridden a 125 in 4 years. So we had a good bike because Chicken, I think, was running it, and they were winning Supercross it, and I think I just didn't want to miss out, and it was a good enough bike to win, which I did that day. I beat Bale, who was the 125 world champion
Yep.
that year for Honda, and it was in France at his local track.
That's right.
So I
That's
took him out in the
88.
second moto. So
Get some.
I had to take him out to win the second moto. So I wasn't very popular in France that day. I was
Wait,
lucky to
so
get out
so
alive.
listen, if you guys are listening at home, this dude who is currently riding a 250, hadn't rode a 125 forever, drops down a class. They ask him to do it. You do it. Like, that's one of our questions. We're like, dude, you rode 125s, a 250, a 500, back to a 125. Like, it's just remarkable what you did, how you did it. Took out the 125 current world champion. It's just it makes no sense to me. It wouldn't happen today. Hey, Eli Tomac, we need you to ride a 80. Will you ride a KX80 tonight?
Yeah.
It's silly.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was a challenge. I mean, the track was suited for a 500. That's why Dogger just dominated, because it was just fast and flat. And so, we just got peppered by 500s and 250s all day, because at the start we just got aced on because it was a super long start. And then we just got peppered the whole day. So it was not fun at all by any means. because you were just mixed in with 500s and 250s trying to race a 125, because Bale and I were, left everybody. So we're just battling. I'd get by a 500 and he'd have to sit behind that thing for a half a lap or a lap and then get him. And then I'd have a guy in front of me, and then he'd come by me, and then I'd be, then he'd get by 2 500s like he did the first moto, and I couldn't get by him. I just got roosted, and it was just like, I'm done. I just couldn't get by. So it was just like torture the whole day. And so, but then I ended up, we collided in a corner and he went down, and so it made it a little easier for me. But I don't know if I would have beat him. I mean, yeah, we would have raced to the end, but he was a super good rider. So, we had it won. RJ went 1-1. Machine went 1-1. And if I would have went 2-2, we would have still dominated by huge amounts. It wouldn't even need it. We, almost a perfect score, which we had anyway. So, yeah, the motocross donations were something I took pretty serious. So, enjoyed going over. It was always fun seeing guys over there that we watched, are friends with Joe Bay, and, guys that, Kurt Nicole that was on, with Cowie and the England, and, knew those guys, and they'd help us out. We get to pit under their tent, and even though we were competing against one another in countries, but it was still cool to race with those guys. Kind of like when we went to do Paris Supercross, we'd have, Jackie Bimone and guys that, we'd watch that were awesome riders that weren't that great in Supercross, but outdoor, yeah, they were amazing. So Andre Malherbe and Thorpe, world-class 500, guys that we got to race with, which was super cool, because I got to do that with Thorpe and battled him and Nicole. And so that was kind of like something that, who's the best, and kind of, but those guys kicked our ass a lot too. I mean, it wasn't like we went over there and just said, we got you.
Yeah.
I went over the first few times and I'd be like 15th fastest in practice. And I'm like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah.
I've never even heard of them. I never heard of these guys. And they're fast. They're just hauling ass on a sand track, because sand, and like they know the track, and we're just like, oh shit, we better get our ass kicked. We better get our shit together.
How do those conversations go whenever it was like, hey guys, come on in, sit down. Jeff, you're riding a 125. This dude's riding a 250. This guy's riding a 500. Like, did you go, hey, I think, how did that work?
I don't know. I don't remember. I mean, I remember getting calls, and pretty much knew what, like in the first 2 years we rode both bikes, right? 83 and 84. And then when 85 came, they were always trying to mix up the system to try to beat us, right? Before it's like, oh, we can't take all their motos because they have 4 great guys. We need to throw a moto out so we can throw one of our losing scores out like we always have. And then it was like, oh, no, they're still too good at that. Let's go with 125s and a 250 and 500 and run them all together in all 3 classes at one time. Let's do 3 motos and try to throw out, it was like they kept changing kind of the rules to try to help them out, because we just had so many good riders, which is still to the day that, you pick 3 of our best Americans. Italy has 1, maybe 2, then there's Netherlands has 1, France has the best because they do have 3 good riders. So it was always like we always had the dominant, because every other team would only have like 1 good guy, a world champion, and then the rest were like, privateer type guys almost. So they changed the rules, but it was kind of always, in 85, I won the 250 championship Supercross and outdoor. So, I kind of figured I'd be riding the 250, and it'd either be Bailey on the 500, and then the 125, it was a crapshoot. So I didn't really care. I didn't have any say in it whatsoever. And, you just got a call. And the only time there was any controversy was in 87 with Hannah. I don't know. I talked to the We Went Fast guys. He came over and did an interview and is doing some cool posters and stuff. And he had more insight than I had, because Hannah told him. And then AMA, I don't have a clue. I just remember saying, I'm not riding the 125 at Unadilla. I'll ride the 500 or the 250. But then Ricky wanted to ride the 250. And I'm like, but then I heard like I wasn't even picked for the team. Like
what?
They said they were going to have like, yeah, I heard that they were going to have like Lachine, Ricky or Hannah, and then something else. And I'm like, really? I had just won like what 4 donations and I wasn't picked. He's like, yeah, you weren't on the team. And I'm like, because they picked Lachine for the 500 that year. And I'm like, wow. Well, I can see that, for sure. But then, the two, and I'm like, well, how do I not fit into the picture here? So yeah, it was kind of weird. And then Hannah said way back, to the AMA. He goes, I want to do the donations because Unadilla, right? I mean, it doesn't. And he said, I'll ride at 125, no matter what, just so I'd be on the team. But then something about that he wanted to ride the 250, but then I wasn't going to ride at 125, so he got pissed at me. But then he already committed to it, and then he didn't want to ride with us, and he was pissed with us. He went and pit with us.
Sounds peaceful.
He just said you guys are assholes, da da da. Just didn't do anything with us, didn't want to go practice the day before with us as a team. So he was just on his own, which was fine. Nobody got along with Hannah anyway. So at least I didn't.
Yeah.
But he did his job. He could ride a bike no matter what, but just like I could, or just like anybody could have gotten the 125. And unfortunately it was just super muddy, and that probably didn't help the cause either. Might have helped Hannah a little bit. Just because she is such a good mud rider, and it's at Unadilla, and maybe he would have struggled more on a nice, perfect track there that was, with some really good 125 riders. He might have struggled a little more with maybe the lack of speed that the younger kids have. But that mud thing, I think, fit into, his mentality of finishing and riding sloppy and out of control. So that. But then the other ones were all pretty much, I probably knew I'd ride a 500 at Gildorf. I just won in '89. I won the championship in the 500 that year. They could have put Ronnie on the 500 too, and me on the 250. But Stanton that year was awesome on the 250. So, and then I think they put Kradowski, so. And then Dogger was 125 back in '85. But the first year we did the three classes. That Ronnie was the 185 champion, or 125 champion that year, I think, in '85.
Yep.
So pretty much knew, kind of, that what bike we were on. Nothing. Just probably in '87 was probably the only year that I had to make a decision that, I will ride that bike. But other than that, whatever they told me, if it was the 250 and I'd be '85, I said, I'll ride 250. Perfect. If it would have said 500, I would have said, I'll ride the 500.
We need that attitude today. Nobody has that attitude now.
It's just changed. I mean,
it has.
We know, the Supercross has gotten so big, and that's kind of like our claim to fame is, the Supercross and the numbers and the money comes from that. And so we know who's the best in that in the United States. Nobody's going to come over and dominate. So when the outdoors come, nobody really cares. We know we still have some of the best riders, but Prado is going to kick ass when he comes back over here for outdoor. Yep. Hurlings would kick ass. He did. He came over and showed what he could do.
Right.
So, and they do it still on the trophy in the motocross donation. they still kick ass. So, it's like that everybody kind of knows where it's at nowadays. Back then we didn't know where it was at, because Supercross, nobody rode over here. So we had to really ride the outdoor. Now we have guys come over and, and they are here. So we're kind of showing them that we are the best. So nobody really why do we have to go over there? We're already showing them we can beat them here in Supercross. Why do we have to go do an outdoor race to show that we're the best?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I think that mentality, which I don't think we are the best. Jet's the best right now outdoor, but for the last 4 or 5 years before that, I don't think we were the best outdoor guys, because we don't ride it enough. Those guys, that's all they do. I think there's 3 or 4 guys that were faster than our guys, and that's why we got beat those years. We just took it nonchalant, and those guys were over here to like it was the end of the world, and that's how they rode.
Yeah.
And they've got some good racing there. Like right now, you watch some of those races, they have some good
GPs.
GP stuff's good right now.
It's amazing for sure.
Yeah, those guys haul ass, man. They're so fast, but they're not coming over here for Supercross. They're just so fixed in their outdoor stuff that they can't switch over. They're all too old. Once they get past like 24 or 5, it's done.
Yeah.
You have to get the kids like Prado, all the guys that are 21 just getting their feet wet in the 450. They need to come over now, and that's why they're doing it, because they grew up watching Supercross and they want to come here. Those other guys, no, they make too much money, and why come over here when they're getting paid well and they're winning championships? They're not going to change that at that late of age. You can't do it.
No.
You're not going to learn Supercross that, you have to get in the lights class. And Prado did amazing coming over and right in the 450, and, looked like he'd been there forever, to learn that quick. Usually you have to go through the lights for 2 or 3 years to even get the, to get the pace, to get the, to get everything going. So that's a guy in a couple of years that can be a championship contender and outdoor right away. I think next year outdoor, he could be one of the guys to beat.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Vial. Second
So-
year in Supercross, he wins the title this year. Never rode Supercross before, so I mean, yeah,
He's a good starter too.
yep, absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. But hopefully, somebody needs to come over to fight with Jet on the outdoor, and I think that'll be him. And you know, if Hurlings came over, I think he'd be a threat at some races for sure.
Oh yeah, especially a couple years ago when he showed up and just
Lord.
destroyed
WWE.
Everybody.
everybody.
1-1.
Yeah, on a borrowed bike that he didn't even ride. You know,
Yeah.
so
That sounds like Nick and John. They're going to Mammoth. They're going to be on borrowed bikes.
yeah.
Borrow bikes on Mammoth in
Exactly.
a few weeks. You coming up? You coming up for Mammoth?
Yeah, I think my son's racing the pro class. I mean, he did last year. He got 10th. He got a bear, the pro class 250.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
he might go up and ride. He doesn't ride much. He just runs local stuff and practices, and then heads up there to run the pro class and does decent, does good. You know, it's tough. There's fast guys up there, so it's more fun just get out of there without getting too beat up.
Yeah.
And but we always like going up there for 4 or 5 days and hanging out. We used to go up there for 2 weeks because our kids would all race. I'd race the vet, be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the mini bikes would start Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then practice for the pros. My kid would run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then maybe we'd come up. So it was like
12
9
days.
days at the track, one day off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad those days are done.
Well, Jeff, we're going to go let you get some rest. I'm sure you got some skin cancer you need to take care of tomorrow. So
Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah,
we do too.
I'm in the garage. I'm
We
gonna
all
cut it
do.
out right now. So,
He's cutting it out himself.
Yeah, you got
I'm so good at it now. I know.
Save all those co-pays.
all three of you guys
Yeah,
got skin cancer to do tomorrow.
Yeah, we got skin. Me and John.
Yeah,
and
we're
Nick.
pretty busy tomorrow.
Yeah, Nick doesn't, but me and John do.
Yeah,
and
we're
Jeff. So.
blistered right now just from talking to you.
Yeah, we're inside and we're getting skin cancer right now. Well, thank you so
Exactly.
much for finally being on. We harassed you enough.
I hope you hate Kevin,
worries,
but I
man.
don't want you to hate him. I just got a feeling you probably hate Kevin.
No, I seriously was like, what have I done to Jeff Ward? Like
He hates you, dude.
He must. I thought he did. I was
he's
like, did
like,
I
I
say
I
something?
just had a lot of stuff going on, and
Fair enough.
He's gonna come
and I
up.
forget about it. So,
Jeff's just gonna come up and smack you at
Yeah,
Mammoth.
Oh, yeah, do that.
Do
Jeff.
that.
Just,
I announce Mammoth every year, so you can come kick the shit
just
out
find
of
the
me for that.
announcer.
Yeah,
just
we're all
slap
gonna be
the
in
hell
Mammoth.
out of him.
We're gonna just be pointing
I
them
don't
out to you.
think I can climb to the top of the hill. I'll be out of breath.
You'd be out of breath. I
Well,
guarantee.
I'll be doing podium, so you can kick the shit out of me right in front of
Oh,
everybody.
there you go.
It'll work out
I'll be behind
perfectly.
it all the time.
Perfectly.
This is for texting me 27
By the
times.
bathrooms.
Yes, I'll whoop your ass, you kid. Yes. All right. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you so much for being on. We'll call you in the
Thank
morning.
you, guys.
Yeah. Love
Okay.
you.
See you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I thought I was gonna forget, didn't
Now
you?
you
No,
stuck that-
he
stuck
said he
it in
loves
clean.
Jeff
That was very
Ward.
clean.
I knew you were going to say it.
You thought I was gonna forget? I've been.
No, I never think you'll
I've
forget.
been waiting to say it the whole time.
You're dedicated.
You're a
Let me
bad
tell you
dude.
something.
your love.
When we first started talking to him, first off, he
Check
even
out.
sounds cool.
He is cool.
I
God,
mean,
he's cool.
He has a good voice. Like, how does he not announce something like he's got a?
yeah, he does have a good voice.
He
for him.
sounds like a super good-looking dude on this voice. Like he's
He
just.
rips.
That's how Kevin
mean,
is.
yeah.
Sure.
Sounds so.
I mean,
You think
he
he's
is
got
like-
much?
Fine.
Just haul ass.
But he
does not haul ass.
Sounds cool, and the whole like when we first started talking to him, like
I love
we,
you, Jeff
we
Ward.
joked about
I love you,
being
Jeff Ward.
yeah, we joked about being nervous, this, that, and the other.
I love you, Jeff Ward.
I almost wanted to get off the phone with him because he said it was so cool.
We're not worthy.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I don't even know what we're going to talk to this
It's
cat
just you
about
could
because it's
talk
freaking
about
Jeff Ward.
We still didn't cover any. He didn't get into any chicken
No,
and dogger
500.
stories.
We
racing 500 with
never
an open face.
mentioned. I mean, we
Why'd you
mentioned
do
it,
that?
but
You didn't have to do that.
we didn't even get into talking about
that
IndyCar
Belmoto
with
3s
him.
in 81, dude.
They didn't talk about what?
IndyCar.
Yeah, we didn't
He
even
got
talk IndyCar.
second in the Indianapolis 500.
Do y'all like how restless I am? It's like I can't sprawl out in these chairs, man.
Yeah, you're used to going.
I'm like, man, how do you lay down on this
how do
thing?
you get your junk to show up on zoomed out? On,
How do you get these meat gazers a glimpse?
Get your meatloaf showing over there.
Well, I think we hit the high spots for sure.
Dude, it took an hour and 36 minutes.
I love it. I'm
and
not
we
pissed.
we hit the high spots.
Well, we got time, dude.
We could be here
Listen.
till
We finished
midnight.
off strong. We've got another. I think we've got another call. We wait a few days.
Start texting him in a couple of
Hey
months.
Jeff, what you doing?
Jeff Ward, remember me?
Hey, Jeff Ward.
I'm that old dude, a bird. I mean,
If you
God.
do that at man, hey Jeff Ward, and you stand all
Ward.
weird like that.
Yeah,
with
just
your
put your
on-
arms back and
you
straight.
clench your fist like this right there. I said Brock Ward, by the way. I did
Brock
say that.
Ward, that's
Hey,
dope.
you was racing guys like Brock Ward and
Yeah,
stuff.
Brock Ward.
I'm like, oh, you idiot.
It doesn't
Hanna.
matter.
Brock Hanna was so good. How'd you beat that
How'd
guy?
you beat Brock Hanna? We
Dumb dude.
drove
Brock
all the
Hanna.
way over to Mammoth Mountain just to see you, Jeff Ward.
Jeff Glover.
It was 45 hours just to get up here to you. To you and your kind.
To Ewan's.
Hey,
Man.
Kevin's gonna walk up and he's gonna be like, "Hey, I'm Kevin Kelly. You know, we just did that show last week." He's gonna go,
Fuck you, Kevin.
Like in
"I know."
Wapow.
Oh, I know you
It's
idiot.
like no,
Normally
I
you step
saw
on that
you
mountain,
coming.
you idiot.
no, I know exactly who you are.
Your room
I know.
624 Juniper Springs.
Yeah. Dang, son, don't be giving out actuals. I wish it was 623. It'd be like Grogan's.
How
bike
funny
ride.
was it
Be
that,
awesome,
that Matasevich, like, there's a girl on the side of the track, and he's like,
Hitting on Jeff Ward's wife.
His future wife. It took him 8 years to seal the deal. Did y'all notice that?
I'm the champ.
She came out there in 82. And then he's like, at the 90 Supercross, we'd been dating for 8 months.
What in 82?
It took him 8 years to seal the deal.
I think your math's wrong, bro.
he knew the family.
Jeff Tasevich was not on the team.
I'm just,
I know.
I'm kidding.
I
I'm
get it,
just
I get it.
How long did you
exaggerating.
date your wife before you got married?
A long time, dude. I was scared to death to get married.
Me too.
I think we dated 7 years.
I think mine was 7 too. My
Yeah,
wife
it's-
will say 9, but I'm going with 7.
She's all like, man, we need to get married. And I'm over here like, I don't know. I mean, we don't really know each other that good. and
We've been
stuff.
dating for 7 years.
Mine
I
was-
barely know you.
Mine was 7 years.
Hey, I did barely know her. You learn a lot about people after you get married. I'm talking the
Why do
next
you
15
snore
years. I
every
was just
night?
like, what is going on? Why do I
is
not
this
know
person?
these things? How do I not keep
I didn't
stepping
know
into
that
these
you
traps?
I didn't know you shit.
You shit in the bed?
I still don't know that she does that.
Yeah.
Any
No.
of that.
None
I
of
just
that.
assumed they never did that.
I don't think
Yeah.
they do.
No, that don't happen around me.
No.
There's no farting or shitting in
No,
our
we
house.
don't. We don't
No.
do any of that. There's
You do
people
that, you
just
go
trapping their
outside.
wives
You-
under the
you go-
covers.
No,
I don't do any of
people
that.
do that. I'm like, who are you? Man, I piss on my wife in the shower. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's what she gets.
What?
No, I don't do that. I'm not on
Hey,
that.
so you
That's a
remember?
true story.
Listen to Nick.
So you remember Lindsay, the girl I dated?
Yes.
All right. So probably shouldn't be putting her name out on Front Street.
Girl.
Like that.
What's that last
Well,
name?
all these people are listening. There's
Facebook
so
and
many
Instagram handle?
listeners.
Facebook gram.
So we lived together for briefly at the house or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the first time I've ever been in the shower and having a woman come in and start talking to me while she was taking a shit.
Nope.
Nope.
I'm
That's
out.
it.
I'm like, this is so.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's way too personal.
Hey, let me.
Hey,
when
Nick
you,
peed on the back of my ski boat. dude,
There's
and I was
people
just
that-
like,
that-
When
like
you get
it's
through
normal.
taking that dump, go ahead and pack your stuff up. And,
You're
yeah,
out. You're out.
yeah. Don't quit walking.
No, I was telling. I think I was,
your shit.
I was telling John some of my pre-marriage horror stories of how bad I was dating people. But I had a girl, like, we came home from the movies and we went out to dinner, like had Chinese food or something, and she got up and went to the bathroom and dumped in my house. That was it. It's
Nick's like, get out of here. I don't like anybody's
care
got
if you're a
all their
10.
functions.
Yeah.
over. And I had a super fine girl one time go, man, we would have such good looking, and I liked her. We would have such good looking kids. And I was like, that's cool. Well, we're done now.
Yeah, I ain't having no kids.
Like, I broke up with her right there.
It's all about me. That's what
Right,
Nick
that's
said.
it.
It's all about me. I don't want to hear nothing about them kids. I'm good looking enough. We don't need more of me.
Left a girl at the movies one time because she talked too much, and then another girl at the movies because she started crying during the movie. Like, it was a sad
Jesus.
movie. She started crying. I was like,
I'm gonna go get some popcorn.
I can't do that. We were on
Never come
He just
back.
keeps
No.
walking.
Never
and we
come back.
met a friend of another couple up there, and I just leaned over my buddy. I said, "Hey, man, you take her home."
Man,
He
I'm
was like,
sick of this.
yeah, and I was like, "All right, I'm out. I'll be back. I go to the restroom. I'll be back." Never.
Dude, I mean, what the? Like, you're
Gone.
never gonna see him again?
I did see her.
Yeah, I
again.
would think.
It wasn't very. She wasn't real happy about it.
That's weird because I thought she would be like, "Man, I've been waiting on you to come
Yeah,
back. I'm so glad to
fucking-
you're finally back."
I'm glad you're okay. Your friend said you got kidnapped.
Yeah. Your friend said some dudes killed you.
Yeah, I've
and
been
I'm just
abducted.
thankful you're alive.
I told
Yeah.
her I just didn't think I was good enough for you, and I was intimidated and I had to leave.
That's
got you.
that's hard to believe.
Didn't have the
Yeah, I
anything
didn't
to do
just
with-
ditch girls like that,
You
Nick.
wouldn't have anything to do with you. Wouldn't shut the hell up.
Nick talking about just ditching chicks at the movies. I'm gonna go get some popcorn and just leave. They laughed too much. They cried too much.
She
They talked
had
too
a ride
much.
home. She was talking during the movie.
Yeah, I didn't like it was evil.
And then one of them, it was a sad movie, and she started crying. And I started. She even cried worse because I started laughing because she was crying.
She cried worse because he started laughing.
had
I mean, you talk
never-
about a juxtaposition.
I had never seen.
Cheers.
I'm sorry. I stole.
Here,
I stole
Kyle.
one of
Cheers. I'll cheers on that. I don't have nothing in there, but still.
I
them. Just
Gonna be ain'ts everywhere. You just spilled a drop.
said,
This place will
I-
be eat up with
I had
ain'ts.
never seen anybody cry at a movie.
Well, they do. I mean, sometimes it's sad.
It wasn't
I
like
can't
we were
think of a
seeing
sad movie off the top of my head.
Old Yeller. It was in the 80s.
That was pretty
It
sad,
probably-
man.
Were you making out during Schindler's List? That's all I'm just wondering.
He's playing with some titties, I guarantee you.
Oh, if there's a
play
film,
with
the lights
shit.
went out.
You're a psychopath. If you're playing with titties,
Dude,
during
they were
Schindler's
learning about the
List,
Holocaust in history the first time he did it.
You're over there squeezing.
Those people would want me to play with titties.
Yeah, they did. They
I'd
didn't
have
stop
wanted
him.
it.
They didn't stop him. That's proof.
We,
Son.
didn't, and we haven't ever talked about this on the show, but John and I and Kevin got into. We were at a race, and you talk about stupid stuff at the races. And you're like, if you could go back in history, you can change one thing. What would it be? And I said, if it were me, I would. When you introduce yourself to somebody, you could just do it while you're holding on to a boob. Like, hey,
That's
hey,
acceptable then.
how you doing?
Yeah,
So-
he would,
So
he would change human
of all
behavior.
the things this man could do, not change one thing in the annals of history.
Yeah, like
He goes,
cancer or
"Be able to-
anything like
or the Holocaust,
Holocaust
6
or
million
anything
people. He wants to grab a hold of a titty and make that normalized titty
well,
grabbing.
That'd be pretty I think he should do it.
that's where the conversation
Does that
went.
make up for 6 million lives?
the,
bro?
the conversation went to where
Dang.
I got to go back in history and change one thing. They're like, "Oh, it's awesome."
Okay, so how did you
went back
fix
and
the-
murdered Hitler? And I would be like, I forgot about Hitler.
As he's
Just
and they're-
holding on to
Ava
the
Braun,
right.
as I got Ava Braun's titty in my hand.
Yeah.
That didn't. Oh shit.
Dang, I didn't even think about Hitler, Ava. I was so worried about you.
Yeah,
Dang. Sorry.
that was. That would have been a good idea.
That would have been, man.
Good God.
Or you could have went back and you could have talked to some
Except
Japanese.
If it ever came out, I'd be a hero.
a titty hero.
Oh,
To
you'd be a
everybody.
hero, dude.
mean,
They'd be like, man, you know the man that caused this to be the normal
You know how
behavior.
we shake hands? You shake titties.
Yeah.
And I'd be the president of the world.
What if you went back to
President of
Japan?
the world.
Yeah, shaking titties and kissing babies, right? That's what
Yeah,
you're doing.
that's right. So like you.
God, that'd be nice.
You're running for president instead of getting in trouble by doing it all the time.
His
you just
wife.
walk
They'd be like, he did
His
every.
wife
I
is an
grabbed all of them.
educator. Like the people that my wife is so serious and so she impacts so many people. And I was like, man, if you grab titties, Nick's wife is like an educator.
smart. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing that
And
somebody
if-
that
if-
smart
in
can marry somebody.
administration-
No,
of
no, they don't
education.
know. They don't know this because they'd be like, "You're so stupid."
I guarantee Amanda knows I think this.
I mean,
There's
yeah,
no
she
way
knows
she
I'm
don't.
dumb, but like she hates Will Ferrell now. And like, and Scott's Tots from The Office. Like, it just kills me. She doesn't like anything I like. A lot of the funny, silly stuff.
It's amazing.
What
that
if you
somebody
could
so
go
smart
back?
can marry somebody so dumb.
stupid, sure.
Yeah.
Well, we're smart too, though, because nobody's thought of that. That's just something Nick thought of on
Boom.
just real
That's
quick.
on an autistic level, there, brother.
Yeah.
What if you could go back and stop the planning of Pearl Harbor? You could stop the Japanese in their tracks. You could,
Or
no, but what if you could go back and you'd be like, hey man, you're not bombing Pearl Harbor.
That's a good conversation to have now.
No, I'm saying you go back in time.
I understand, but you don't want to put
he
me
could
in
have
that
stopped the
pressure.
Holocaust. And he was grabbing
It
titties,
depends
dude.
on who asks me that. If I go back in time and you say this would be a good idea if we stop this right now, but if I go back in time and it's the hot girl from
He got so sidetracked.
the hot
He's just thinking with that
it's
little head.
the hot
you know what
girl
I'm
from the movie Pearl Harbor,
yeah.
saying? Oh, shoot.
That'd be difficult.
we would probably all be holding on to titties.
But what if? So what if you
It's
go
a
over there
circumstantial situation.
and you meet with some top level angry Japanese, like, general, and let's say you're gonna be like,
Tomorrow, 7 a.m.
I didn't even finish my statement.
I'm trying
He
not
just
to.
shut it down.
And you know what I would do at this point? And if you don't know about this, I'm a negotiator, right?
Yeah.
I'm a negotiator.
He's a used car salesman.
You're like, you
A
got
modern
little
day
titties. I'm gonna
negotiator
use
for
both
sure.
hands.
Hey, how you doing? I'll
I'm
put you
gonna
in
say,
this
listen.
87 Corolla Classic.
I
Very
understand
nice. One
at
owner.
7 a.m. in the morning, you're planning on.
22.5.
120,000 miles garage kept cream puff.
But
Powder blue.
if you don't bomb Pearl Harbor tomorrow, I can guarantee you that for the rest of the time, when you introduce yourself, you can hold on to a titty while you do it.
Yes.
You
That-
think
You
that
think
would,
the Japanese are like,
Hood
I think
That's a
they
good
are.
deal. That's
If
a
it's a
good
man,
deal.
of course
That's a good
they
deal.
are.
Yeah.
They didn't have no titties over there.
He would be
they
like,
don't have titties
But
over
they
there.
don't
like
know
we
the
do.
difference. They don't know about LA.
Yeah.
All they knew about was what they had, and
And
they were
they-
happy to get it.
and he would have been like,
That's all I thought about.
What?
He thinks he'll take that deal.
Yeah, he thinks he'll take. Nick would be like, "Hey,
Oh.
sir,
Okay.
Titties forever?
Very good. We'd make a deal now.
There. There you go. Sorry. You had to tell me that. I
And
just
then
don't
the
think
ca-
so.
and then
They have
y'all-
them tiny little titties over there. They're not doing that.
I bet there's some
So?
old lady with some long, saggy ones.
So-
Okay. All
It's not National Geographic. Now.
right. All right.
You know,
Change
I
that.
don't want to steal his joke. Ron White had a
is a
joke where he
family
talked
show.
about he was some old lady with like wrong droopy titties that she has to roll out. You know where they're rolled up at a bra. And she goes,
We never get to sponsor.
she said,
Man,
She
we got to
said-
get you a heavier bong hitter.
said,
Gong hitter.
and he said, Ron White says, well, she says, well, you don't want to see these old baggy things. And he's
Gong.
like, well, really, I do.
Yeah, I don't care what they are.
Yeah.
Just any of them. That's why I went
We
back
don't
in
care.
time and made this standard
Right,
practice.
no hit on any of them.
President of the world now.
I am
you go.
yes, you are president of the world, and
Yes.
it's all because of what you changed in human
If
history.
anybody, if you're listening to this and then you wake up one day and you're watching the news and you're like, oh, and by the way, Nick Blackman is the president of the world. Nick Sugarballs Blackman is the
You're
president of
welcome.
the world. You're going to be like, he did it. He found a time machine.
Dude, if you actually do become president of the world, I think at that point, just even if your hair ain't white, dye it white because that'll suggest seniority.
Yes.
And then you can be sugar balls or snowballs.
Yeah. Snowball.
Snowballs Blackman.
All right.
Because that has a nice ring to it if you were like president.
So I got to ask, are we ready for this regional next weekend? Are you ready to go? Are you?
Oh, look at this man. You can't take your shirt
I'm
off
not
right
talking
now.
about that.
We
I'm
will
talking-
look at that.
Oh, look at Terry Crews.
son.
He's got the Terry
That's what
Crews
Elvis.
All right.
I'm making Elvis dance.
Ask more specific questions.
No,
you
because
know?
I mean, I know there's a lot of folks that listen to this show that I'm sure they're amateur guys. They're getting ready to go to regionals too. Like, I'm just curious. Are you
I rode today.
okay?
I rode and worked out.
Did you ride
and
with
ran
purpose?
a moto with at home. I had one.
40-minute moto.
I had a moto at home. I worked out at 5 a.m. and then I went and rode.
Okay.
That's more than most humans do in a week.
And then
Sure.
I cold plunged and had a steak on my way here.
because
And
of the
did
six
CrossFit,
speed.
and he's a vegan.
He ran here with eating
Yeah,
steak.
as he's doing CrossFit.
But he's a
Yes.
vegan.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm ready.
Dude, he goes this morning, he goes, man, my back's kind of tight. I had to do a bunch of bent rows, and all the dumbbells were taken, and all that was left was 70s. So Nick's bent over with 140 pounds, just like, just pounding them out. Because that's, I mean, you know how when we're at the gym and there just be, man, all this over there's hundreds. I guess I'll
let's
just
get
use
them
them.
hundreds.
Now, if you're asking if I'm ready, if I've been taking performance enhancing drugs, no,
Damn.
I'm not ready at that point.
No,
Get ready.
but you do have new tires on the bike,
I do have new tires on the
Tars.
bike.
All right.
and it
Starter
hooks.
works
It
now.
throws a lot of dirt.
Yeah, we rode today. It was
Michelin Starcross.
Did you go with him
6.
today?
Yeah.
Oh,
Where'd
you
you
are
go?
going to run Starcross.
scrub and dirt. Yeah, I got
They
some
work
Starcross.
better when they're wore out.
Yeah, they're 19% better when they're warm.
I mean,
you gotta
that's
ask
true.
Randy Richardson how that
Dude.
math works. I don't know how something
I don't
can
know
be
how they could-
19% better when it's
Don't
warm.
question
But
him.
I got
Better
to
than
tell
a
you,
worn
By
Dunlop.
the time we rode our third or fourth time today, and it got dry and dusty, my front end, I didn't feel like I was losing my front end a little bit.
Yeah, you said that. I didn't ever notice
It's
it.
probably shitty body position, but
So worst case scenario, if something happens and I'm down there, God forbid, if you need me to fill in for a moto, I got
Put the
you.
Blackwood
Yeah.
jersey
I
on.
got you. I got you.
you
Just
can have
saying.
them all.
Just saying.
Put
Yeah,
them
you
all.
could just
No,
ride them
don't
off.
say
Kyle,
that.
that
Are
way.
you going to spend the night down there, or what are you going to do?
I'm staying. I'm there.
You got a
I'm there for
camper
the
you
weekend.
Where are you going to
pull.
stay?
With you.
With you, wherever you're staying, I'm staying.
Okay, all right.
Get a double.
You're
I got
paying,
that. I
though.
got that little.
You're paying.
No, I got that little camper. I can take. I'm going to get it out and get it ready. We'll
Let's
take
go.
it.
See,
But you need
John,
to stay at the track.
Bring that camper to
I know,
John.
but Amanda
No,
shortened
no.
a Florida vacation to be
No.
home with me.
I said, he's got a camper he's going to bring. I said, bring that camper over here. John will get it ready for you.
yes.
Clean it,
He'll
get it
air it
ready.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
it's-
washed this motorcycle
It's
for
got a
him.
pop
soft
up.
spot in the floor. I think you need to get that handled.
I've fixed those before. I know how to do it.
And we'll have to sleep pretty close together because this one's got the beds that fold down like this.
And they V in.
You're gonna be
like
laying on
this.
your side.
So you just roll
Hey,
into
Kyle
each
Kelly.
other. Hey, Kyle Kelly, you good? Remember that time we was over at that regional? All right, we're done. This is it. You ready to call it?
Yeah.
We're ready.
I'm never ready, but let's call it.
Time.